Hi guys, welcome to session 2 of A Day with Zenler. So we had an action-packed first session and went really well. And we have Mammy back with us. She's been traveling, so she spent the last 3 hours traveling to get here. So she's managed to come in on the second session. Now, she really wanted to because she was an integral part of helping Alice. So she has lots of information and things like that that she wants to share. So she wanted to get on. That's why she's rushed back to us. So we're back. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, so let's begin then. I'm going to share the screen and then Alice is going to take it away. So we finished up with just a deep dive into what we did with the site and the resources as well. We chatted about the planning and all that stuff. So now we're going to move on to the second part of this part. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and Alice, you can take it away.
Thank you, David. So for this second half, we're going to talk a bit about, more of the stuff that we did around the social media stuff, the speaker management. We're going to talk a little bit about what could go wrong. We're going to talk about how we prepared. And we'll talk more about like some promo stuff for you guys too. So, and the first thing on social speaker resources, I think, is the speaker interviews. Yes. So with the speaker interviews, we used that as part of this promotional strategy. So Manmeet and I, inside of Zenler, we had speakers comment in a thread around if they wanted to be interviewed or get interviewed, right? So, and the reason for that is because it wasn't a requirement for us because we really weren't focused on this external promotion of the summit. We were only really focused on that internal promotion for our members for this particular summit. Which was just one of our goals, was to run this summit so that we could then come back and run the challenge for those of you that are interested in putting on your own summit. So that was one of the main purposes behind the summit. So we still wanted to go through a lot of the things that you would traditionally do for a summit. We just went about them in maybe a little bit of a different way than you might go about them. So our promotion was actually way less than probably what yours would be. But with the speakers, the idea was that if they wanted to, we would bring them into the Zenler Facebook group and into the Zenler YouTube channel, where we would come with them and basically interview them. Right. So we would interview them and we would just have a little bit of a conversation. So we would talk about like a little mini bio. They were 15 minutes. They weren't really long. They were just little snippets to give us branded content for the summit that we could be sharing. Now, there was a second track to that promotion, and that was if the speakers wanted to, they could invite us to their channel and interview us about Zenler and about the summit and all of that, to give them a way to promote the summit to their audience. And also it gives, as the host of the summit, it gives you a bit of authority again as well, because someone is interviewing you about your summit, about your event. So you have these dual promotions with the speakers going on for those interview sessions. And I know Manmeet probably has some things that she wants to add into the speaker, because she really did help me with the scheduling of those and the running of those and meeting with the members and the speakers and scheduling those up too and conducting them. So thoughts, Manmeet, on the speaker interviews?
Yes, absolutely. I think also a very slight idea what we had with the interviews was that since it was like a 12-hour summit and everybody does not stay for the entire 12 hours, but then there are certain sessions and speakers that they absolutely want to attend live, and catch them in the live Q&A. So those 15-minute interviews also gave them like a little insight. We didn't really, tell everything about the talk, but little sneak peeks, what is going to happen, what the speaker is going to speak about. And like you said, it was a mini bio that what the speakers have been through. So it really, and we've got a lot of views on YouTube as well. So I'm sure it would have help the users to understand that what the speakers are going to speak about and which ones they wanted to catch live and which they can watch on the replay. So that was also a slight thing that we had when we were doing the speaker interviews.
Yeah, because when you do have a lot of speakers, some people like to run like 3-day summits or, and have like 50 speakers. Please don't try to manage that for your first summit, because that could be like a train wreck. Unless you hire a professional team to help you, then that's a little different. But if you're doing it solo, like, start smaller and build your way up to bigger summit, right? But yeah, that it gives an opportunity for the people who would attend it to really kind of get an idea of what these talks are about. And that also feeds into that other thing David and I were talking about on the first session, which is kind of that transparency and communication with people. And you want, your speaker sessions for your summit don't have to be a secret, right? That you don't have to have just weird clickbaity headlines and be ominous about it to intrigue them, because people are really tired of that kind of thing. They just really want to know, what is the outcome? What are they going to learn in this talk? It just be very clear and precise with it so that people can decide, is this something that I need? Because not all of the sessions are going to be, right? And let them pick or choose, Yeah.
And like you were mentioning, with that, people are also busy, like all of us. So they want to be selective about what they want to consume, what they want to learn, and what will benefit them. So just going like behind the picture doesn't really help, and it doesn't value the people. So I think
exactly
that's one thing.
Yes, be respectful of people's times. That's what we were talking about as well. Earlier when it comes to like sending out your automations and your emails, be short, sweet, and to the point. I mean, there are some emails that you can do longer form content and you can nurture people and really provide them with information. But there are certain kinds of emails, sometimes you just want to get to the point. And same thing like with the speaker interviews, we didn't want to make them too long because we already wanted people to come on to the summit to see the longer version of a conversation, but just enough to give them a little taste and let them be able to prioritize the talks that they would really benefit from, right? That's the most important thing, because they're not going to benefit necessarily from every talk. So, giving them the agency to be able to pick and choose which ones were best for them, I think that was really important. Yeah.
And also with the speaker interviews, we also gave the speakers a small option of recording a 15 to 20 second, like an intro, which had went out on TikTok and Instagram as well. Again, who did not want to do the interviews, they would give a little sneak peek to the audience that who they are, what they do, and what is the value they're bringing to the summit. So that was another thing that we did, 15 to 20 second recordings, and we edited them and put it on the social platforms.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I'm going to just I'm just going to share our YouTube just so you can see just how many we did. Remember, we weren't massively marketing this, just to let you know. This is just something we were doing as the flow of how you should run a summit. So, all this stuff, a lot of this stuff would be paid for. We do paid ads and all these things to get people to come into it. But just to show you, so you sort of understand what's going on in the background, because you might have attended and gone, oh, right, oh, that's good. Oh, I learned something today and it was a nice day. But you don't realize all the background work that goes into it, that Alice was interviewing, Liz, Mamie. Mamie then took the green screen one. She was editing it together, sending it to me. I was posting it on social media. She was posting on social media. It's all this stuff that goes on. And we've got a team here. So just to show you, we've got the screen share here. This is just our YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. This is a playlist that we did just for the summit. So you can see how many videos we've got in there. Full meet the speakers. We've got about the event. We've got the initial, we've got afternoon summit. That's actually the recordings. We've got Carmen interview, Honey interview, Howard interview. And these are the short ones down here, meet the speakers. Just that were the first ones to go out. But also we put it on Instagram as well. So we had lots of posts like this. This is the first one that Alice did to introduce introduce the actual summit to people as well. So you can see that goes in there. And again, we didn't market any of this. Again, it was on our Twitter. It's also on TikTok channel as well. So you can see how much stuff goes into this. You've got all the speakers down here coming up. You can see how much has gone into it. It's not just, oh, we're just running a summit, this is how you do it. We're showing you every single step. And we will be showing you steps of this when we run the challenge as well. So, and giving you other options, and you'll have the ability to ask us questions, or you might want to run it slightly differently and have a question based on what you want. Because as we know, we can run a summit in 100 different ways, but it's interesting
Absolutely.
to look, good.
Yeah, and there is a lot, and there's a lot more that you can do depending on how you run a summit. Like we did ours live, right? So there was a lot of bits that we had to do that if you're going to do a pre-recorded summit, that you wouldn't have to worry about that. Now, the reason that we chose to do it live is because of the fact that at Zenler, we have that live management piece, right? And so, yeah, because we're crazy. That's why we did it live. That's part of it too, you guys. It's part of it too. But it was really because we're focusing on that live aspect of digital business, right? And we have all those live features that you don't get anywhere else. And so it just really made sense for us to do something that was live, because that goes with the Zenler brand, right? That's what made sense for us to do at that time. So that was a part of it too. And you're going to have to decide for your business what makes sense for you. For your first ever summit, should you run it live? I mean, if it's really important to your brand and to your messaging and to what you're doing, then sure, run it live. Maybe not a 12-hour day one. Maybe you can shorten it up. But again, that depends on if you're hiring a team to do it or if you're doing it solo. Because those speaker interviews that we did, one of the things you'd have to do if you recorded is one of the styles of doing a summit would be an interview model where you and the speaker are on together and you're interviewing them and you're having this conversation. And so you would pre-record that, right? So that's another thing that you're recording. And so you have the schedule of recording so that everything can be done ahead of time. So you could do that along with scheduling the shorter little interviews to help with the promotion. And those interviews, we did it like David was showing and what Manmeet said. We had it on YouTube, we did it on the TikTok, we did it on our Facebook. So you could do, if you have a podcast, you could put it on a podcast. I know a lot of people who run a summit and then they do their speaker conversations and talks. They do snippets on their podcast about it. That's just another way to promote it. You could do, if you're into blogging, which I know Kevin is a big fan of, right? He's the master blogger. So you can write articles about the speakers in preparation for the summit and start publishing articles about it as well. So there's lots of different types of content you can do for interviews and promotion when you really want a big external promotion on the summit. So there's lots that you could do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were toying with the idea of an interview style for some parts as well. We were actually thinking about that.
Yep.
I mean, the good thing about an interview style is you control, the narrative of it. So you can control how it goes. When people have free flow, they can really start to, they could go off topic and those sort of things. With an interview style, you can keep it very much in control, but it does require a lot of work to do that. If you've got someone that's going to come in and they can just run with it, then that's a good approach. But it depends. See, that's the other thing as well. If someone's very experienced, you can let them just run with it. And often I will, if I know those people and I've got them on a day with Zenler, like I've got any of the team members, I can go off. I could surf, I could come back, and I know it'll be fine. And some of the people on the group, I could do exactly the same with. I could go off because I know they know exactly what they're doing. They can fill in. A classic case would be Angela. I had it where my whole internet shut down and she just carried on seamlessly. And then I just joined up with her and it was no big drama. And that's the difference between someone new doing it and someone that's quite experienced. You put
Right,
them in
because
that
someone
case.
new might have been, oh no, we lost David. And then there would have been this whole focus around the fact that you dropped out, when really, when there's a glitch, like the best thing that you could do is have someone there to just pick up and just carry on as though, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah,
That's
and we
fine.
mentioned that.
Everything's fine.
And we mentioned that this morning. You know, if I hadn't have made her co-host, it would have dropped out. So those are things like backup plans that you have. And it was only by chance that I made her co-host. So it was kind of like, you know, that was lucky, really lucky
Yeah.
on my side. But these are little things that are just important to take note of. So if you have got someone who's less experienced, maybe consider doing an interview style for their particular slot, and other people that have the full presentation stuff like Shelley and things, they can come on here and they can just run their slideshows and everything else they do because they're used to doing it. It doesn't mean that the people that are less experienced, the information isn't less valuable. It just means that they might need talking through to bring out the best of what they know in those scenarios. So it's also adapting as well and making it work for you with whatever you're running, whether it's a summit or whether it's just a live, you know. But it's all the fun of it, isn't it? Everyone's different. That's what makes it enjoyable.
Exactly. It really does. It makes it more, it makes it fun. It makes it interesting. And even though I've run many summits and many other kinds of events besides summits, every single one is a learning experience. Every single one, something, you know, you're working with different people. You're learning through the process every single time. David, I'm sure you know, like you run so many live sessions with A Day with Zenler and other things and challenges. It's like every time maybe something new happens or you learn something from the process that you're like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this or this different next time and test that out, you know, like, and being open to learning, not getting stuck in doing something the same exact way all the time. And maybe trying to change it up and test out a different way to do something so you don't get stagnant. It doesn't get boring. It doesn't get, you know, monotonous or whatever that is. It's fun. It adds a little bit of excitement.
Yeah,
to
you've got to
it.
keep it fresh
Mhm.
for sure, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Fresh is where it's at.
Fresh. Okay. So that was speaker interview. So we'll move on.
Yes. Yes. So organizing and coordinating with the speakers. So again, we touched on this morning. One of the key things is a major part of what you're doing when you are running a summit is you have two groups of people that you really want to nurture and build a relationship with. One of those is your speakers and one of those is your audience. And if your speakers have a really great experience, guess what? Your audience is probably going to have a really great experience too. But if your speakers are having a poor experience, there's a good chance your audience is going to have a poor experience as well. So you have to really focus on that relationship with those speakers and how you're handling that. You have to plan out how you're going to communicate with them. One of the things that I did is I created that course for speaker resources inside of Zenler. So it was that private view, you know, it was secret view, enrolled the speakers, invited them privately to it because there was 13. So it was easy to just add them into it. Have all of the resources just laid out in a very common sense way for them so that they knew where to go to access any information they needed. We also did the scheduling for the speaker sessions so that we could give them the information. We double, triple, quadruple checked things like time zones. We double checked things like their talks. What is their talk? Get the outline talk. All of these different bits and pieces of coordinating with the speakers, so that, because there's another two aspects to that relationship with the speaker. It's making them feel comfortable and taken care of, but it's also ensuring that everything is going according to what your plan is, right? The speakers are prepared to present, they're presenting the correct topics, their slides are the best, way. It's not too salesy or promotional. In a traditional, we didn't have any sort of offers or freebies attached to the Zenler Summit, because it's a little bit different as an organization for us to run a summit than it might be for you. So you might have a freebie pack for your audience that they would be signing up for. You might allow your speakers, especially if you're not paying your speakers, to do some sort of promotional thing to get people to sign up to their list as well. So those aspects will probably be included in a summit that you run, because that's the nature of pooling other people's audiences in order to grow your list. That's one of the reasons that you can run a summit, besides, having that authority and that credibility of hosting this thing around your topic, around your niche. So there's a lot of different things that you could do that we did not do. Okay, just checking the chat. So there's a lot of things in there for coordinating with the speakers. And the main thing is that you want to make sure that your speakers feel taken care of. You want to make sure they have the information that they need. There are also probably certain promises that you've made to your speakers, right? You've invited them to this event, it's going to help them build their credibility, authority. You're going to have some list growth. You may have ticket sales for your summit. Could be a free summit with an upsell or an add-on of some kind for the replay access and bonus content. So it could be a moneymaker for you, but also a moneymaker for your speakers if they're affiliates for that, right? So they can be selling and promoting. So if you've promised them that, if you've given them that information, then you need to make sure you're giving them the information to do that promotion for you for the affiliate, right? What are some of the social media content you can give them, outlines for their emails, preparing all of the stuff for it, so that it makes it just easy peasy for the speaker to throw in that email template, personalize it a bit, and email it out to their list with their affiliate link. Those social media graphics that we created for them and uploaded into the Speaker Resource Center, it promoted them. It was a picture of them with the name of their talk, the name of our summit, our logo, our branding, right? But that they could promote it and be like, hey, look, I am speaking at this thing, right? And if there was affiliate and sales involved, they could have posted a link with that as well. And just making sure they had all those resources, so that, and not only did that make sure that the speakers had everything they needed, but on the other side of that, it's less running around for you if you are that prepared ahead of time, because the speakers will inevitably ask you, hey, can I get XYZ? Absolutely. Here's the link to the Speaker Resource Center. It's right in there for you. Right. And then that's all I have to do. All I have to have prepared is that one link and say, here you go. That's where it's at. I don't have to go into my Google Drive or go into my computer folder, find the thing that they need, then send them that thing. And then, I'll email them back this thing. And then another speaker comes along, and now I have to go back and get another one for them and then email it to that. Right. That's like all these steps and all this like crazy chaos that's coming in at you from all directions, when all you have to do is say, oh, here's a link to the resource center. That's it. Right? Makes it a lot more relaxing for you, and a lot easier for the speakers, because then they can also, you'll have some that need hand holding, right? You'll have some speakers that will ask you a lot of questions and will need you to take them in there, get them in there. Okay, here it is, show them around, right? Some will need that, but then you'll have speakers that want to be very independent and want to just, hey, where's this stuff? Let me go get it. And they'll take charge and they'll just go get it. So by having a resource center where everyone can access things, then you make it easy for all different types of people to get the information they need. You make it easier for yourself as well by having all of that stuff in there. And so that is part of organizing and coordinating with the speakers. The other part of that is that we talked about earlier is that communication style that they have, right? So do they want emails from you? Do they want text message? Were they okay with WhatsApp? Mammy, anybody that was available for WhatsApp communication and okay with that, then Manmeet created the WhatsApp group and did that form of communication. And being able to make sure also, when you communicate with your speakers, what is their time zone, right? Very often I will wake up in my morning, right? And I will go into the Zenler team chat and I will see there were messages posted at like 2 o'clock in the morning, my time, right? But that's because that's a normal morning time in the UK, right? Because they're 5 hours ahead of me. So the team is already having conversations and then I come in and I'm like, okay, let me catch up on these, right? So when you communicate with your speakers, you want to know what time zone they're in. And you want to do the best to set up your automated emails and things like that you're communicating with them at a sort of try to hit it where it's a good time zone for most of the people in your summit. Now, you may only do a local summit where you only have people in XYZ time zone, and it might not be worldwide the way that we at Zenler did. Like our summit wasn't just diverse in the kind of topics we were talking about with our speakers, but it was very diverse because we were worldwide, right? We had speakers from literally all over the world, right? We had the US, we had
Chicago,
yeah, right.
India.
And India and the
Australia.
UK, Australia, China, Jerusalem, right? Like we were literally worldwide. Okay. Like we were everywhere. So coordinating those times can be a little challenging, but you try to send out those communications at a time that it is most likely to hit everybody, at least at a normal waking hour, right? So, because that way they're getting that information in a timely fashion for them, right? Anything else you'd like to add, Manmeet, about that? Because I know you helped coordinate a lot of the stuff. Like I was like, Manmeet, please check my work on this. We have to like quadruple check the time zones, please.
Absolutely. I think, like you always say, a double check always works, because when we are working ourselves, we do work it the best, but we are looking with a single pair of eyes, and the second pair of eyes is always good when you're working. But I would say that the entire list was done absolutely. I did not have to make any changes. The time was done absolutely correctly, all the changes. And with the speakers, the coordination, like we have been mentioning since morning, I think the coordination was very smooth. And while we were talking just a moment ago about taking care of the speakers, since we are inviting them to the summit, we had provided them with everything in the speaker resource section. I also feel that we missed telling about the presentation slides that we did to them. And we did take care that on the last slide, we give them space to put their picture, their bio, and then their link where they can, tell about themselves. And there's not too much of promotion, but at the same time, they get the space for talking about themselves once they've given and delivered the value. So I think this was also one thing that we particularly took care about, since they were taking the sessions for the organization. So we also took care of giving them that space in the presentation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because that's something we haven't really talked about. It's in all the resources. So all that information is ready for our speakers, and they just grabbed it, but you haven't seen it. So what we did was we set up a Canva template. So it allowed people to put their content into that generic slide format. So what that did, as well as supplying them with the Zoom background, as well as actually supplying them with T-shirts, some of which didn't arrive. That's one thing that we're going to talk about in a minute. Things go wrong. But people put on T-shirts that were plain, because obviously Mammy had told them, like, no branding, any of this stuff. So just if you're going to wear something, wear it plain, or if you've got a Zenler T-shirt, put that on. So that all went smoothly as well. But the resources is where it all was. So we supplied them with the slide deck, a generic slide deck. So everything you were seeing inside that summit all looked as if they were part of a team as well, because it was all branded. So what we didn't want is them using their own slides with their logos, their website address, and all those things. Part of it was to keep away from that. They've got their link under the speaker sections inside there. So if you go to the actual summit, you get a little bio of them, and then they can click and go through to their website. So that's what we give them back. And at the end of each thing, we say, you know, like Mammy said, she can put a slide there saying where they are. And that's our gift back to them, because obviously they're doing this stuff for us, in this case, for free. So you've got to reward them. You've got to give them something back. And also it makes your life easier, because we see, like, if someone's watching one of the presenters, like someone like Jono or Angela, they might really love them, and they're like, I really want to take a course with that person. They're really good. I've just got this connection. And if they've got no way of communicating with them, then it's not good for the person watching, the participant. So giving them that way to connect with them is a really nice thing to do, you know? So I think you have to, otherwise they're just people talking about their subject, and you're not seeing what they're doing privately for their job. And you can also see what they're doing on their website as well. So there's lots of things that come out of it for actually doing speaking. And I think if you're offered the chance, depending on what it is, whether it meets your moral standards on some sites, but if you are asked to do a speaker slot, grab it. Just grab it. It's priceless, because it gets you out there. I mean, those, you know, on our YouTube channel, all our channels, thousands of people are looking at this stuff, and they're seeing them on there. Even if like 10 people go, or even one person goes and signs up for them, that's money they wouldn't have got before. So it's priceless to attend these things if it's, you know, if it's not too bounded. We did control it about the branding and these things, but we weren't too strict. Some of them are really strict with what you can do, and those ones you might say, do you know what, I want to avoid that. It's just tying me down too much. If I'm doing it for free and I'm not getting paid, then I want to be able to promote at the end of it, or have my link on there in some sense. I mean, what's great about the community though is, like a day with Zenler, we don't really have any links in there. Sometimes I usually mention at the end, and those people just come on and do it absolutely free with no linking to themselves at all, which is fabulous because of our amazing community.
Absolutely. And it is our amazing community. Yeah.
What just David mentioned, we also made sure on the homepage of the summit, we also have the speaker website links. Like under their bio, there's a clickable link where people can go to. With that, I really liked when David said that, you know, they were feeling like a part of our, like the organization. And a lot of speaker interviews, if you go on YouTube, you'll see they have the same background. They took the virtual background, and my and their background, like the team's background was same. And a lot of people were wearing Zenler t-shirts. If they did not have the virtual summit branded t-shirts, they were wearing Day with Zenler or normal Zenler. And we didn't ask them to do that. It was a speaker interview. It was about them. But then it felt like, you know, the entire team was like one part. And it really came to my mind when David talked about it. And it was conscious, like all the speakers did it themselves.
And they're only doing it. These people are coming on because they love the platform and they want to help the community. So actually being part of it and being branded in Zenler, they quite like that, because it's like, yeah, we are part of it. We're part of this team. Otherwise, they wouldn't come on there. Why would you come on there if you didn't like it? You wouldn't. They just wouldn't bother.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's great.
And that's another bit about taking care of your speakers. You know, these should be people that are maybe in your network, people that you know. Obviously, you can maybe go outside of your network to get speakers, right? Because you always want stuff that's fresh, people that are fresh. If it's just the same people all the time, it can get stagnant. But you know these people, you're nurturing that relationship with them. And as a result, they show up for you in unexpected ways, right? When you're building that relationship, because we're not the kind of company that like tries to nickel and dime you over things, right? You become a member of the Zenler platform as a pro or premium member, then you get everything else for free, right? Like we don't charge you for trainings. We didn't sell tickets to the summit or to the replay. We don't charge for challenges. We don't have upsells. We don't do that. And as a result, our community really appreciates all that effort that we put in that relationship that we've built with them. And they reciprocate. We don't ask them to always, but they just do reciprocate. So So it's really nice when you're building that relationship because you can have that too. Now, I also want to add in, because we are talking sort of about those interviews and the relationship with your speakers. One of the things that you want to do when you're coordinating speakers and you're figuring out, making sure everybody's talk fits in, making sure of their presentation, if you are doing that lead generation part of it, where you're offering bonuses and you're allowing people to click through and subscribe to somebody else's free gift or whatever that is so they can generate leads, you want to maybe set a standard with your speakers to make sure that they've set up some personalized email sequences for their particular lead magnet. This is a great tip for you, as if you do as David recommended and you go off and you accept being part of other summits. If you grow your list from that summit, I cannot tell you how many fast food summit experiences I've had where I sign up for things and all of a sudden I have 13 new people in my inbox and I don't know who they are. And they haven't even taken the time to acknowledge how we met, right? It's just their generic canned email from something else. Sometimes people participate in summits so often that sometimes I get an email with the name of a different summit on it, because they just jump into so many summits all the time. And they do the same presentation, they have the same email, and they can't even be bothered to change the personalization. Whereas if you take a minute to say, hey, following up from the Zenler Live Summit, following up from the XYZ Summit, it was great to have you there. I even asked people like, hey, what was your favorite talk in the summit? I'm really curious to know. Mine was XYZ. Right? Even though it was like I was a speaker in the summit, I'm talking about all of the other like I'm acknowledging that they had this experience with other speakers, and I'm not picking myself as my favorite talk, because how lame would that be? So I'm actually telling them, and I'm being transparent and open and having this conversation. Like, I really liked XYZ because I learned this thing. Right? You know, what did you learn? And trying to get them to communicate back with me, because that's different than that canned generic email that you're now just subscribed to because you're on this person's list. Because a week later, 2 weeks later, I'm getting all of these emails and I have no idea who these people are. None whatsoever. No one's built a relationship with me. And that's a really icky experience for attendees of a summit. So as the host of a summit, you want to encourage your speakers, if they're doing lead generation, to make it really personal and acknowledge how they know them, right? And re-acknowledge it, kind of like when we were showing you the emails that we had set up earlier, we kept reiterating book into the sessions, right? That was something we kept talking about. We talked about it on the page. We talked about it in emails. We talked about it in our social promotions, right? We kept talking about that. So you want to keep talking about and referencing, at least for a few of your communications, that you met someone through a summit, so that they can remember. Because if you stand out in their mind and they remember you, they're going to end up unsubscribing from everybody else's generic list, because they have more of a relationship with you because you took the time to personalize it. And your audience will just have a better experience if you speakers to personalize their communications, and it'll just be better experience for everyone. Nobody likes the icky feeling of a fast food summit where it's all about promotion and sales, and now you have 13 people pitching to you and buy this, buy this, buy that, and it's all about them and it's all about their thing, and no one acknowledges the greater experience that was happening at a summit. So that I feel like that's really important, because it drives me crazy. And David said earlier, and I really believe this, that online business is starting to change more and more now. And that really pushy, salesy, aggressive, like, people are like, they're just like, oh, whatever. Like, they're just so done with it and so bored with it. You know, that what they want is something fresh and something new, and they want a real relationship, right? Or at the very least, they just want that transparency, and they want to know who you are and what you're up to, you know, and they want that clarity from you. They don't want, you know, sleazy, like clickbaity things and this weird stuff happening and to be pitched at all the time. People, you know, internet's been around for a little while now, y'all. So people are hip to all these crazy, weird guru, salesy, spammy marketing sales tactics. Like they're done with it now, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I
It's
think so much,
sorry.
I'm so sorry to cut you.
It's all
There's
right.
so much information. There's so much information available on the internet today. Like Alice said, a lot of people are aware of what that technique is. When that message comes into the email or probably, you know, LinkedIn DM, the way it is formatted, it has become so generic and nobody's changing that method, even if they're following that same technique. So much information is available on YouTube that people know that what is the kind of message, the message, looking at the message, they can recognize, okay, this is going to be a sale. And a lot of people, what they do is in the first message, it's always a sale. Like you were talking about, you know, building a relationship, having a conversation. It's like, hey, buy from me. End of story.
buy my stuff right now.
Big pop-ups. Right. So yeah, with that in mind, I mean, Alice, you just opened a can of worms here. So I'll make sure we finish at 6. I want to add a few little notes to that because we were talking about how people are getting savvy to stuff. And, you know, both Alice and Mamie have mentioned about this transparency and this building a relationship up. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, if I've got to do that, like if I'm attending like 5 speaker events or something, and I've got to do that each event, it's going to be a lot of work. No, it is absolutely not. I mean, if you're driving people into a funnel or you've got a page or a form set up, all you need to do is clone it and then just change the wording and then they can just go straight into it. So at the minimum you're going to do is send people into a form that you've got on the page. So you can just set up, just duplicate that page. Let's just not talk about funnels at all. Let's just talk about page. You can set that page up and tag them, and you'll tag them with a tag that you know links to that summit. So you might call it, I don't know, if it was the live impact, you might call it LIVE or something. So you know LIV. Oh, funny enough, that's live, isn't that? Did you know that? Live Impact Virtual Event.
Yes, David,
stands
I
for
did.
live. Right. Okay. Just noticed. So you could just set the tag up there, and then you can send them an email. Now, when you do send an email, remember that if they've attended that event and you've been on for an hour, they probably, after you've been on the camera for about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, half an hour, people tend to build up a rapport with you. They'll get to know you and they'll like you, or they'll like your way that you're talking. So from your point of view, you don't know those people, they're strangers. From their point of view, they already know you a little bit. So that means when you do message them, you can do it in a very playful way, not too playful, but playful way. Like, do you remember this part in the summit, for instance? And that way you're changing that message. And, you know, this brings in Mamie as well. Mamie was storytelling, because that was basically what that was about, where you're actually telling a story about an event that happened, but you're sharing it in an informal way with someone in that mail. Now that mail, because it's personalized, goes out to let's say 500 people. Each person looking at that mail, because you've done it that style, is going to think that you individually sent that to just them and no one else. Now, if you send out a mail that's just a robotic style mail, they're going to go, oh, this is a load of spam. They're trying to sell something to me. And that's how people will look at it. So bear that in mind as well when you're thinking about follow-up emails. Exactly what Alice said. Even set up a different funnel for each of the things that you're attending, because like Alice knows, and I know, these things make a big difference. And if you know where these people are coming from, then it means that you can actually cater for that. You're not sending out a generic email that is just going to annoy people if you're saying, and have you seen my course? Buy my course. You know,
Absolutely.
It makes a difference.
And it does make a difference. And if you do this if you speak at other summits and get some practice in being a speaker and getting that authority and credibility from it, if you're out there doing that and you take the time to personalize those emails and make that connection, you will stand out above 90% of the other speakers inside almost every summit. I can guarantee you, I can show you hundreds of emails from summit speakers that are like, who is this person? Why did they send me this email? And a lot of times the topic that they were talking about on the summit, like the email and has nothing to do with it. Like it's completely outside of what I would think it would have been. So if you personalize and you take the time to get to know someone, you will rise above everybody else and you will get more connection and you will convert higher when you make an offer because of it.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's what a lot of people do. They go, well, I've got my form, my contact, I've got my funnel, it's already set up because I've set it up, but they've set that up for organic traffic to come in, people they don't know,
Yeah,
which is fine. That works for that. But if you've got people that you've been on a live for, why are you going to just send them into the robotic series of email sequences? However good they are, they're not going to come back and they're not going to refer to what you were in. It's massive. It's a massive thing. If you can try and think like that and take Mamit's storytelling, that will really help you for sure, because that all goes about it in the same way, the way that you talk and you share stories, or if they're involved in a summit, it's even better because they were there. So that's an even better one. So maybe there's a storytelling part 2 that you could do, Mamit.
Yes, the first idea also came from David, and David has given me the part 2 idea as well. I think it's really the time that people want to see faces. They don't want to see accounts hiding behind a picture, a username, or probably an email ID. It's time that people want to build relation and they want to interact with humans and have that conversation. And everybody needs to realize that gone are the days where just a push email could sell things. People want a little more.
Yeah. So on that note, we're going to go on to the subject, what could go wrong?
And the answer, drum roll, is everything and anything could go wrong. Okay, so
That's it. Finish that slide.
Yeah, finished that slide. We're done with it. Okay, so let's start from the beginning of this. Okay, so what could go wrong? First of all, have you chosen a proper date for your event, right? And did you allow enough planning time? Because that could go wrong. Right? If you don't give yourself enough planning time, maybe you can't get enough speakers. If you choose the wrong date, maybe it's a holiday. This is a worldwide platform. Maybe it's a holiday in another country or another location that you're not familiar with, right? If you're dealing with a global audience, you need to start opening yourself up and try to schedule things that are maybe outside of like global holidays, right? Pay attention to that because that could go wrong. What could go wrong once you schedule it and you're getting your speakers in and you've set you're starting to promote to recruit speakers? What could go wrong? What could go wrong is you could mess up time zones. People could be confused about that. So know your time zones. What could go wrong? You want to make sure that the messaging around your summit, what you expect from your speakers, the type of talk you want them to give, when they're supposed to present, what their responsibilities are. Now in the Zenler Summit, we didn't require speakers to promote. In some other types of summits where the goal is like, there's some big list building stuff happening there might be requirements for you to promote the summit. So you have to know if you're going to require that. If you don't talk to your speakers about it, then they won't promote and you won't get people registered for your summit. So that could go wrong too, right? So you want to make sure that you've set the expectation from the very beginning, right? And that you're aware of that. So that could definitely go wrong.
Or having the right links as well, going through to the right places, making sure those links work. That's for sure. And checking it, testing. That's what we say all the time. We've said it a few times. All team members. I don't think you've said it, Mammy. Have you said test yet?
Yeah, I have not today, but in one of the sessions I have, because I think that is the mantra: test, and test.
That's it.
Yeah, it's the triple T. Triple T, everybody. T, triple T for test it out. You have to, yes, testing. And yeah, exactly what David said. Like if you're sending out links, even your first links might be your speaker application. Your first links might be that waiting list, like, hey, I have a summit coming, get on the waiting list, pre-register. You want to make sure that link works. You want to make sure that you have a confirmation email set up to go out. Hey, guess what? Stay tuned for this. You might even want to set up if it's really far in advance, you might even want to set up a mini weekly nurture sequence to remind people, yep, it's coming, get them excited, maybe give them little tidbits about what might be going on at the summit. Are you going to offer competition? Are you going to offer some things? Are there going to be some surprises? You might want to start to get them excited about it. So you don't want them to forget about you, basically. If you've got the pre-registration set up, you want to make sure the links work. You want to make sure people know, yep, I got your stuff. I got your name. You're on the list. I'm not going to forget about you. You want them to know that. You want to stay in communication with them. For your audience, you want to stay in communication with your speakers. What could go wrong? You want to follow up with your speakers and make sure, again, test, double check, time zone, their time slot, their talk, what they're talking about. And let me tell you, no matter how good you are at preparing your speakers, other things will go wrong, right? I've had events where speakers showed up to a virtual event and refused to turn on their camera. They just did the whole thing with their camera off. I was like, this is so weird. I've had events where people showed up in like other branded gear, like Coca-Cola and all, like just weird stuff. And it's like, oh, like I can't like just put that out there on social media now because you've done, even though it's kind of part of the process, like every single part of the terms and conditions that we put together for our speaker end up in there because it's happened, right? That thing has happened out there in the world. Testing your internet connection. Don't join from your cell phone. Like, come on, we're on an event. Don't be driving in your car to the store and be on your phone, because that has happened to me in an event before where a speaker just showed up. They're like in their car driving and they're on their phone in this event. It was like, they could care less. They were like, yeah. I mean, it will never cease to amaze you, the things that people will do, right? Like, so.
And I think speaker not turning up could also be one thing that could go wrong.
Exactly. So these are all things you have to be prepared for. Yes.
I have one more thing. And I've learned it from Alice only. Taking the speaker's name wrong could also go wrong. So we made sure that we know that we are taking their name right. We confirmed with them when they came to the speaker session, because name is a very personal thing and people really like it when you take their name and you remember it. So this one thing that make sure that you know your speaker's name and you pronounce it correctly.
Yes, because it's also, again, it's global, right? So you can see a name that you think is pronounced a particular way, but it is not pronounced that way because it's maybe something that's cultural and it's pronounced a different way. So for example, one of my very good friends, one of my business besties, her name is Marisa. And in the US, when we see that spelling, we say Marissa, but she's from Canada, and even in European countries, when they see that name, they would say Marisa, not Marissa, but I would say Marissa. So I had to learn that Manmeet is not on mute. I had to learn, you know, I had to make sure I knew who's how to pronounce the names, right? Because that is personal. And the last thing you want to do, right? Because you have a speaker that's coming on, right? And one of their goals in being a speaker at your event is that credibility that they get of being a featured speaker. So to have the host of that event then say your name incorrectly, that is just like, oh, that's in very poor taste. And it's like an insult. So make sure you know how to pronounce people's names for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely worth. I mean, if you're pre-preparing, then of course you can ask. But if you're live straight on, I've had that happen. In fact, I had that happen when Mammy brought her husband on, and I wasn't sure that it was pronounced the same way, because Indian names are different the way it's said. So it was Siddhant, and I asked him, "Is that correct?" And it was, luckily. So it was okay.
Yes.
But yeah, that's the case. You could be saying it complete. I could be saying Siddhant. Couldn't I? So yeah, it sounds really odd and it really annoys people. But if you're pre-preparing, you should always find out what their names is. If you're in a live situation, you can just ask politely. It's not a
Yes.
problem. And that's fine, because there are weird things. It's like a friend of mine's, his wife's called Letitia, but other people call her Latita, all sorts of names. So she gets all these different names going across. So yeah, that's a big one as well.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's respectful, and it just shows that you are a thoughtful person, right? And I'm sure you've heard this saying all over the internet and even before the internet, right? And books and all these things. People will very often forget what you did, but they will not forget how you made them feel. So if you're saying their name correctly, if you take the time to ask them about the pronunciation, because many people don't even care and they don't even try, but if you care about that, that makes them feel good, even if you then get it wrong, right? Like, even if you get it wrong after that and you go, oops, and then just correct yourself, because you took the time to ask them, because you took the time to correct yourself, that makes people feel good because you're thinking of them, right? So yeah, so always do that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had it at the beginning when me and Kevin were running challenges, and many people were calling me Kevin. And I think the same thing happened to Kevin as well. He was being called David.
Nobody ever called me Kevin or David. Isn't that weird? I didn't get that.
Well, I haven't been called Alice yet or Mammy, so that's a plus, isn't it? Put some makeup on and some hair, I'd be.
Well, I mean, I call my kids by the wrong name all the time. Let's face it. Like, one of them, I'm like, Mark, John, whichever one you are, do that thing. Stop that.
I don't care who it is, just tidy up.
Whichever one you are. Well, that's okay. My kids sometimes call me dad, and they call dad mom. Like, they'll be like, mom, 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 or they'll be like, and he's like, dad, mom, dad, who? Oh yeah, sorry. Like, they mix it up too. So.
Right, so things that can go wrong. Well, there we go. Mammy had something that went wrong there, so she had the speaker on, and it just showed through. So it happens, these things. It's how you handle it that is the big thing, isn't it? The worst one is where people are like cooking or something in the background, and then they don't turn it off, and the dog's yapping, and they're shouting, which is quite. And I've had some people this didn't happen to me personally, but my wife is on quite a few Zoom meetings, and there's been occasions where people have thought the microphone was off, and they've been saying things, quite rude things, and it's just coming through, and it's like, ha.
Hello, 2020 was the year of like Zoom backlash. Okay. Like, there were people that thought their cameras were off, that stood up and were walking around without pants on. There were Zoom meetings where people took their laptop into the bathroom to go to the toilet and they forgot their camera was on. There are Zoom sessions where people got fired from their jobs for doing things on camera that they shouldn't have been doing on the camera. Like, so a lot of weird stuff happens. So, little reminders and in little bits, right? Like, that's one of the reasons that when we set up the class sessions for the summit, that Manmeet and Liz rotated taking speakers into a breakout room to check things like their mic and their stuff, and to give them those little reminders. Okay. Like, when you're talking, mute, do this, do that. Like, just those little reminders, even though it was from the very beginning, we've been talking about it. Some people miss it, right? Some people have to come in contact with a message like 20 times before it sinks in, right? And they have a million other things going on in their life besides just your summit. When you're hosting a summit, you're all summit all day, all the time. You're thinking about all the things, but they're just showing up to speak in maybe an hour's time. It's not their whole day. It's not their whole business. It's just this one little bit. And so you do have to keep kind of reminding and reminding and reminding. So yeah, little bits.
All right, that's things that can go wrong. We could carry on all day with this one.
Yes.
So next slide is how to prepare for an interview.
Yeah. So you want to make sure it's same just for the interview with the speakers, but also even for your summit sessions, right? You want to give speakers resources like here, check your internet speed, make sure you have a wired connection. Please don't join the event from your phone, right? So certain techie pieces, which I know we're going to talk about the tech setup too, but preparing, make sure you know how to pronounce your speaker's name. We covered that already, but even for the interview, make sure you have that set up. I would double check pronunciations just before we started recording to make sure, right? Double check it. How to prepare, make sure you know what your speaker's talk is, that you have that information in front of you, that you know a little bit about your speaker's business. I took the time to go to each of the speakers I spoke to's websites just to make sure I kind of understood their overall thing. I made sure I had their bio up there with me. And I made sure ahead of the interview that I had like 2 or 3 questions that I could ask them just in general. I wanted it to be a natural, free-flowing interview. And I prepared the speaker ahead of time too. I set and I told them, this is just going to be a casual chat, right? I'm just kind of going to ask you a little bit about what you do. And, you know, we're just going to have a little bit of a conversation. It's not going to be anything too intense. So, so go ahead and, you know, be relaxed and then, because I know the next part is like the tech bits of it, so I don't want to go too far into that right now, but so just kind of preparing yourself for that comfort of what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, how you're going to introduce them, what questions you're going to ask them, is the sort of the preparing part. That's the non-tech pieces, right? Because then anything else that you would add to that, David, as far as the non-tech side of preparing for an interview?
Yeah, I think that this was a really good summit in that regard, because what was happening was that the speakers were brought into a breakout room. So a nice, safe environment to get warmed up, to be more confident, you know, maybe with the less the people that don't do so many lives. It was a good case to kind of get ready for it, because otherwise what can happen is if someone comes on and they just pop straight into shot, they don't have a chance. Like if they've just sat down and they're right, I'm ready for this, and then they just boom, pop up, they're not prepared and ready for it. So I always we always come on 15 minutes earlier. Every live event that we ever do, we always come on 15 minutes earlier. We'd never just pop straight up, very rarely. And that's a really good thing, because one, it means that we can have a little chat, so we can get relaxed, you know, especially if it's someone you don't know that well. We all know each other quite well now. But if you don't know each other, it means you can just relax into it. So when you're on camera, you're quite chilled and relaxed. I don't know if you saw like session, I think it was the midday session where Jim was on, and Jim popped straight into shot, but he'd been on before. So when he came on, he was quite relaxed. But if he had just dropped straight in, he would have been like, ooh. But he had that chance before to just be on there and, you know, just chill a little bit, and he had support. That's a big one as well. He had Alice, he had Mammy in there. I think Liz was on there as well, I'm not sure. Yeah, but there were people on there at the beginning of that session. So he's already supported, right? They're not going to, and all he's thinking in his head, they're not going to make me speak straight away. So that's good. So that makes you feel relaxed. So those are kind of ways that you try to, it's how to prepare for an interview, but you're just putting them at peace. This would be good for Liz to come in here now and talk about
Yeah,
this, but
yes.
it's actually chilling.
Yeah.
Just to chill, have everything at hand, you know, always have your water. I mean, that's the biggest thing, isn't it, Alice?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
if you're doing an hour plus, if you haven't got water, you're going to kill yourself.
Mhm.
Honestly, yeah, the throat will go. It's bad enough anyway, but with water, it just keeps you going. It's
Mhm.
like
Even some lozenges maybe before you talk help really.
yeah, have a little gurgle. Maybe not.
Yes, have a
Right.
gurgle. I know it was freezing up there, so maybe hopefully it's gone.
Right.
Yes, have a gurgle, little lozenge, do it up, right?
Yeah. So prepping for that interview. So now we're going to jump on because Alice was just touching on it. We got Rakesh on in 10 minutes. We're delaying things because we're overrunning a bit, but that's what we do because we're making sure that we're fully covering everything. Studio
Yes.
set up for the interview.
Yeah, studio setup. So depending on how you're running your event and how you're running your interviews. So I think this is particularly talking about the speaker interviews before the summit, but it really applies to both things. It applies to your summit setup. It applies to your speaker interview setups. You want to be as professional as possible. So are you going to create backgrounds for all of your speakers? Do all of your speakers have a green screen, or will their heads be disappearing in and out of the frame because they don't have a green screen? Will they have, you know, how do you want that to look? We really like the look of the backgrounds and everybody matching together, and having that consistent branding and that brand message. It makes it recognizable, makes it easy to identify. It raises that brand awareness. Like there's all sorts of benefits to having that set up. So I highly recommend that you consider that for your summit, making sure everyone has matching backgrounds. For interviews, for the speaker sessions, same thing, the slides, right, David? Everybody's matches. It really takes a summit from kind of a level to a wow level, like, because it all looks really good that way. And then making sure everybody knows their camera setup, their internet connection, making sure they have lighting. We did in the speaker resources, give them a few tips on how to maybe set up their lighting, how to do that, because a lot of our speakers were maybe not professional speakers because they were members of Zenler. Depends on how you're recruiting speakers. Do they need that level of training or not? Do you need that level of training? Do you need to check your camera, your Wi-Fi, your hardwired internet connection, your lighting, green screen, all of those pieces, so that you can make sure that at least your setup on your end is as professional as possible, and you can help your speakers feel more confident by helping give them some tips and ideas on how they can set up their tech so that they also feel comfortable and confident with it as well. Anything you would like to add to that, David, as the in-house tech wizard?
Yeah, well, I think there's a kind of minimum standard that pretty much everyone should be working to, as far as, you know, depending on the media that you're streaming to, but the media in this case would be through Zoom, which is following this landscape format, which is 16:9. So rather than get complex about numbers, you want to make sure it's just high HD or HD minimum 720. So you want to, you know, we expect that, like, you're not going to be using anything lower than that. It's going to look grainy, it's going to be stretched. So keeping that quality, and again, that's why we had the breakout rooms for Liz and Mammy to check the quality of stuff coming through. Of course, some people, if their internet's really sketchy in that area and certain times of the year and these sort of things can cause these issues, and sometimes you just got to run with it. But you try to keep a consistency of the quality, and obviously we want to make sure that they're in their best light as well. So it's not really managing them, it's kind of just making them look better for you and for themselves. And as part of that, you know, it's like Alice has said, you set up some training to give them some basic help on setting things up, which we kind of do at Zenler all the time anyway. just making sure they're light, so they're not in the pitch black or anything like that, which can happen, or they've got there's people walking around in the background and things like that. These are things of managing an environment and just controlling an environment for any kind of live streamings. But yeah, it's a really important part of it for sure. So yeah, let's shall we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
No questions coming in. So we have and this is quite a big subject, but we're going to glance over. We've already talked a lot about it. We got promoting on social channels, Alice.
Yes, promoting on social channels. So part of the reason that you want that extended planning time is because you want to be able to figure out and plan out what your promotion is, right? And how you're going to be promoting on these social channels. What social channels are you going to be promoting on? So you want to decide that ahead of time, right? Now, a lot of people will say, pick one, pick this, pick that. But when it comes to promoting an event like this, you want to try to hit as many things as you can. Obviously, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to, like with Zenler, when you look at our branding, right? David showed you how when we created the speaker resources, or when we created like the registration page and the course access page, we had that similar branded thing for the summit that we just kept dropping in that copied block on, right? And I used that same background for the social media content, right? For Zenler, for the summit. And you can too, right? You can make it easier for yourself. And if you're using a platform like Canva to create your own promotional content, you can resize images and then adjust it, right? So I created one base template, which is like that square promotional thing. And then I duplicated that and resized it to, you can resize it to story size. You can resize it to the TikTok size, Pinterest size, if you want to do a blog post, right? So there's all sorts of easy ways to create content in a smooth, simple way so that you have multiple pieces that you can be promoting, right? And we talked a little bit about the different types of content, but it doesn't just have to be social media, right? You can promote in other places as well. So think about other ways that you can promote that's not just on social media, using Pinterest, right? Using your own blog and your own content, even using your speakers' blogs. And there's also people who blog on like top 10 events to attend in 2022, right? You could reach out to those people and ask them to include your event, right? And then they can link back to it. So you can get more leverage out of your event and promoting it by doing stuff not just on social media, but also in some other places.
Yeah, and what's our favorite word, Alice?
Reuse that content, repurpose it, reuse it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we do. So, there's lots of different programs you can use. Because we know most people use Canva, we try and stick with Canva. When I first came to Zenler, I must admit, I haven't really used Canva. I use all Adobe Creative Suite products that are like for professionals, really. But I was impressed with how easy it is to work with. So we've kind of stuck with that. So we tend to try and do most of our slides where we can inside of Canva. So Canva's really, really flexible because you can copy assets across. So if you've got, say, you're working for YouTube and you've got this landscape environment, and then you want to go and put something on Instagram and you need that portrait format, you can just change the settings, swap them around in Canva, and then just take that content, drop it into position, and bang, it's done. You've got a brand new content. Then if you've actually taken a video of you on green screen, you can just take your video, shove it straight into there, and then just render it out and then upload it straight to Instagram or any other social channels that are using the mobile kind of format. So it makes it very easy. It also means that you can work. We'll be doing leveling up. I'll be talking more about this in our leveling up series, but we're looking at safe areas in the film industry. There's when they're actually shooting, there's safe areas that you put content in. We have actually a little bit broken the safe content now if we were doing this for a feature film, but we're not. So we're okay because we're doing it as a Zoom session. But there are safe areas that you can work in, and you can actually set a grid up so that you have a template that's set up so that you can actually output all the different resolutions just from the one file if you set it up correctly. And I'm talking about this in future workshops. But reuse of content is the biggest time saver of them all, hands down. If you can reuse this stuff, it's like if I wanted to set a course up, a challenge in 2 hours or an hour, using what we have here, our background, and having these assets all separately, I could set this up in an hour because those contents are done. All that content is done for me. So this makes things really, really quick. You can produce this stuff really quick. And you might have looked at all the videos going, that's too much for me. That's going to take me too long. But honestly, it's really quick. Most of the editors you've got now, if you like using Camtasia, or I think it's Descript, or you can produce stuff so quickly out of those. You can also produce audio. You can produce transcripts. So you can use that stuff for articles, for blog posts. So reusing the content.
Audios, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's so good. And, you know, just the software and things that have come out are so good nowadays that you can just speed through this stuff really, really quickly. So that is our social side. And I think that's the last slide of here. We've got Rakesh coming up any second.
Hi, Rakesh.
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me and see me okay?
All good.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you? Good.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's great to see an entire day with Zenler dedicated to virtual summits. So while finally we have done it ourselves, now we can talk all about it.
Yeah, so we had, like, with one thing when we were doing this, we wanted to do, and the team worked so hard, the development team worked so hard getting this ready. Honestly, you won't believe how they pulled all the stops to get this in. There was one thing we wanted to do. We wanted to produce a live feature, a new feature going into the day of summit. Now, this is a really, really good idea, because if you're doing any kind of summit, if you've got a special announcement that you're going to make, either it might be a new course you've got out, you're releasing. It doesn't have to be a new feature like us with Zenler, but you can use it. You can use it to go, wow, look at this. And Rakesh came in specifically for this to announce this new feature. So it's always a good idea in any kind of summit that you're running that you have something like bonus surprise. And in this case, we had this, didn't we, Rakesh?
Yes, yeah, we had we announced one-to-one bookings during the summit, and who knows, we may have a little announcement for today as well.
Oh, what? What is happening? What's happening? What is happening?
One, but it's a tiny one, but it's going to make life so much easier for people doing lives.
Oh, right. Okay. Do you want to show them the one-to-one booking?
Cool. One second. Let me share my screen. Do you see my screen at all?
Nope. Yep. There
Yeah.
it goes.
You see my screen, right?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, everyone. Excited to be here, and thank you for joining us live. And now, a couple of weeks ago, we successfully ran Zenler's first ever summit. Zenler Live Connect virtual summit with over 13 speakers and 12 hours of content live. And all the speakers were from the Zenler community. The zero external speakers. We didn't try to contact anyone outside the community. All the speakers were sourced from right within the community. And we had some amazing feedback on the summit. And it's super awesome to see an entire day with Zenler. Dedicated purely for the hot topic of virtual summits. It also gives us an opportunity to share what worked well, what didn't work well, and so on. So you can take all the info that we have shared with you, and you can use it all for your running your own summits. I would like to start this session with a little announcements. I'm just going to reverse what we normally do. It's a small one, but we have seen a lot of cases where instructors are doing live sessions. Quite often than not, they forget to click recording to cloud on Zenler Zoom. And we've seen I mean, we face it ourselves. We have seen quite a few struggling with the fact that they run a live session with lots of effort and boom, there's no recording because they forgot to click recording or the cloud recording or even local recordings. Even during lives, even during our lives, we have to have a line item, on our housekeeping list so that we remember to something to remind ourselves that we need to do cloud recording and so on. So we thought we need to address it straight on. So we really wanted to address this pain. We just shipped automatic cloud recording for New Zenler Live. It is going to make it's a small line item on the admin, but it's going to make your life so much easier. With one click, you can automatically record everything. So you don't need to wait for a session to start and then remember and so on. You can set it up in advance. So yeah, so you'll see a tiny option saying automatic cloud recording on and off. Even when you're setting up a new live session, when you set up a live session, whether it's a live class or a webinar, or even if it's a one-to-one booking, you'll see there's a brand new option for automatic cloud recording. So this means it'll automatically kickstart cloud recording when you go live. So no need to remember to start recording, etc. As you can set all of that in advance. So while you're creating or setting up the session, we can set up cloud recording, automatic cloud recording in advance. And yeah, it's a very small change, but it's a big impact, creates big impact for those who rely entirely on cloud recording. We're always refining in Zenler a live feature based on the pains we see. So yeah, super excited to announce that we now support automatic cloud recording as well for New Zenler Live. So what are your thoughts on that, David and Alice?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's good. That's brilliant. Is it for live class, live webinar, live interactive?
Across the board, webinars, interactive webinars, classes, one-to-one. So we have rolled it out for the entire live platform. So because we realize that after so much of effort, let's say we do all the summit and then we don't have a recording. So how do we justify that? So we have seen that kind of scenario happening day in day out with a lot of instructors.
Yeah, and
yes.
Guys, it is actually in now. So
yeah,
shall I share my screen? I've got it up in one of the test sites.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's a small but mighty feature.
Yeah,
really.
It looks, but it's major. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just flicked up one. So you've got this little button here. By default, it's on. So if you don't want to activate that, you can just turn it off in there. But if you've got it on by default, so if you forget, this is really good because if you do forget, and I know there's a lot of users that do forget to do that, then you can just, you can be safe in the knowledge that it's going to be cloud recorded for you. So I think that's really good. I just checked it in the live webinars and yeah, it looks really good. Really nice. Love it.
Yeah, I love that the default is automatically on, so you don't even have to remember. And when you log into the session, you should be logging into your session with that 15-minute buffer to test your camera, your microphone. It'll tell you you're recording when you get in your session. And if you don't want to be recording it, you could shut it off, right? So you have the option to turn it off once you're live, but at least you know it's recorded, because the number of times we've had people popping into the group, where's my recording? Did you press the record button? What record button? Like, that's happened. So yes. Love it. Small but mighty.
Exactly. Yeah, we're still debating whether we need to have this option on by default, because if you have entering a private conversation and if you don't want it to be recorded, that can cause issues. So maybe it should be an option at the account level, whether it should be whether the automatic recording should be on by default or not. So that's something we're still debating. So we'll see what feedback.
Yeah, that's like the iteration side of things. So you'll notice that at Zenler, we bring out the first stage of it. We get a lot of feedback from it, and then iterations come after that from feedback. So I'm guessing like something like a pop-up that appeared like cloud recording is on by default, and then they'd have the option to switch it straight off. That could be an option as well, but we like to let the group decide. You remember, like Zenler's the platform that for you guys, you're basically creating what's happening. It's the only platform that does that really, that takes the community so seriously. So you can have your say, you can say what if you like the feature. We'll be doing a video just showing it quickly, so you can just give us a thumbs up on the feature, and you can also give us some feedback on it like you do for every other feature that we bring out. So amazing, that's great. And yeah, just for a day with Zenler, we've never had a new release shown on a day with Zenler, Rakesh.
No, and not only did Rakesh surprise all of you, he surprised us.
I didn't give a clue before that. So
No.
That's fantastic. Brilliant. So yeah, thank you, Rakesh, for spending the time here.
Let me share the screen again. So yeah, I'll continue with the one-to-ones. So let me tell you. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I would like to also touch upon the one-to-one booking feature that we announced at the Zenler Live Connect Virtual Summit a couple of weeks ago. I'll also be looking at all the feedback that we received regarding this and all the improvements that you folks have suggested, and what are the things we're planning based on what all the feedback that we have received. So one-to-one bookings was one of the top requests since we launched New Zenler Live. With one-to-one bookings, we answered the frequently asked questions like, can we set up one-to-one coaching appointments? Can we use Zenler for one-to-one coaching onboarding process? Is there an option for private one-to-one calls and so on? So a lot of people wanted to cut down on software. The problem is there isn't any platform out there that really focuses on you as a coach, and there's not much focus on one-to-one coaching tools. And we as a platform, we saw these requests day in, day out, asking how to run one-to-one coaching and bookings without needing Zoom and Calendly and so on. That's why we prioritized it and we launched one-to-one bookings recently. So we want to help you to be able to do live one-to-one coaching and help your students achieve the outcomes. So with one-to-one bookings, you are able to create free or paid one-to-one bookable sessions. With one-to-one bookings, you can publish your entire schedule on the calendar, and your clients or your students can book your time. If it's a paid session, they can pay and have a one-to-one session with you. If it's a free session, they can book the free session with you. It has really helped a lot of instructors. A lot of instructors tell us that they are able to cancel booking tools like Calendly and Schedule once. There's no more duct taping of different tools like Calendly and Zoom and so on, because all the one-to-one bookings, the entire end-to-end runs from right within your site. And the best thing is if you are a new course creator who's just starting on course creation and you don't have all the content ready, you can start by running one-to-one sessions with your prospective clients or students. And then once you get a sense of what your students needs, you can then convert them into an on-demand course. So it works in a nice way, especially when you're getting started as well. Cool. So with one-to-one bookings, you can set up one-to-one booking without needing your paid Zoom account, as it runs through New Zenler Zoom. With one-to-one bookings, you can set up one-to-one booking without needing your own Calendly subscription. So you can literally cancel your Calendly subscription. We're still refining a lot of things around it, but you can do that. So with one-to-one, you can access the one-to-one bookings from the new one-to-one booking product type that has been added to the New Zenler Live. You can access it from here, and you can add the schedule, let's say 10 a.m. or 12 a.m. and so on, and you can set up your booking thumbnail, just like a course thumbnail. And if you don't want anyone to see it, you can set it up as a secret, and you can pick a theme. And if you want to do a quick setup, you can select a default theme, or you can customize your theme and so on. You can also set a price, especially if you're connected to Stripe or PayPal. You can use that just like courses. You can, or live class, you can start accepting payments, your one-to-one bookings. You can just add a pricing plan, and you can start taking bookings. And you can design any steps of the one-to-one booking funnel, right from your welcome page, your registration page, your thank you page, your pricing page, your checkout page, and thank you page and replay page, and so on. As an admin, you can see the entire schedule on the calendar. And you can see all the slots, the free slots that you have, and you can manage your entire session from there. Again, as far as the students are concerned or visitors are concerned, there is a calendar page where all your entire schedule can be seen by your clients and students, and they can see all the upcoming sessions and book right from within the calendar. The one-to-one booking register page also allows you to select the date and time, just like in Calendly or any scheduling tools to book a session. And if it's a paid session, they can see the pricing plan. If there are more than one pricing plan, they can see that. And one-to-one bookings allow you to really charge a premium because they are really buying your time. They are really spending time one-to-one with you. So you're really you can really charge a premium for your one-to-one sessions. There's so much of content out there. Your students are really happy to pay for that extra bit of accountability. And to purchase a one-to-one booking, just like courses or live class, all they need to do is all students needs to do or clients needs to do is add the email and card information, and that's it. They are booked in for the session. One-to-one bookings can be paid or free, as I mentioned. So currently, one-to-one bookings needs your students to be logged in for them to be able to book the live free session. We are working on changing this. Very soon, we will have the ability where without your student or a client needing to be logged into your site, they will be able to book your sessions, free sessions as well, just like paid. Again, while doing that, we wanted to address another big pain around setting up meetings. So with one-to-ones, you now have the ability to get a direct link to the meeting room, and you can just send that link to someone, and without needing even an email address, someone can just hop on to the meeting room. So you have no details asked. So yeah, you can use it as a private meeting room link. This is another functionality that went in. As with live classes and webinars, you can also set up your email sequences, your reminders for your one-to-ones, all your notifications. Zenler is the only one-to-one platform that has a complete suite of live session management system, from live classes, live webinars, live lessons, live group coaching, to live interactive webinars, live streams, and now one-to-one bookings as well. We ourselves, leverage live sessions heavily. We use new live classes to run our boot camps, challenges, virtual summits, co-working sessions multiple times a week, live streams. We use Zenler Live ourselves. We know what pain you folks go through, so we can actually refine the feature set based on what is the real pain around it. Yeah, even the Davis Zenler that you're on right now is run on Zenler Live. With one-to-one bookings, again, there's no more stitching with different platforms like Calendly or Zoom. So basically, we want you to be able to cancel scheduling tools like Calendly. We're getting there. And this is just a first iteration of one-to-one. As David mentioned, we always put a first version out there, and based on the feedback, we normally quickly iterate based on what people say, what feedback people give. Let me just quickly go through some of the feedback. Do you see the Facebook group shared, David or Alice?
It's gone really thin. I
Oh,
can't see it all.
Hang on, let me just be sure. Stop
Yeah.
this. Let me share the screen again. Share the screen. Do you see my screen at all?
That's it. Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly go through all the feedback that we received, and a lot of people are really happy about it, and quite a lot of people have asked us can we add this, and so on. So let's quickly take a look at what is the feedback and what other things we are planning to do about it. So this is announcement post that we did. So one of the first feedback was Gregor says the one-to-ones is looking good. Will you be adding one-to-one as an option to Zapier? That way you can pull the bookings to Google Calendar. So he wants to pull the Zenler calendar onto the Google Calendar. Yeah, so instead of going through Zapier and all that convoluted route, we are currently working on integrating Google Calendar. So then all your Zenler live sessions will appear on your Google Calendar as well, and you'll be able to go live from your Google Calendar, and vice versa. If one of your slots is booked on your Google Calendar, let's say 10 a.m. is booked on a Google Calendar, that particular slot will not be available for your students. So we want to basically get your Google Calendar in sync with your Zenler calendar, so that there's no conflicts as far as your timings are concerned. What we don't want is double booking, right? We don't want one booking at 10 a.m. on Zenler and same booking on your calendar outside of Zenler, or even if it's a direct call. And Gregor again says, great feature. Will there be an option for free bookings without logging into? Again, this is something that's coming up very soon. So we're going to remove the need for logging in and stuff like that. So for free booking, all we would ask is the email address, and they can just do the booking from that. Lots of super feedback. Chalal says great. Lorna says fantastic feedback, and so on. Premji says fantastic. Lot of great feedback. Lindsay says, I literally just thought the feature would be amazing this morning. As if the magic it's in. So that's cool. And Premjit says, Premjit wants to schedule calls for the entire month, 5 calls per day. Do you have to create 5 separate calls currently? Yeah, so currently if there is 10 sessions, you have to create session 1, session 2, session 3, and so on. So, but we are actually in the next iteration, we're going to make it such a way that you can set the working hours, and then people will be able to book during those timings, and you can block certain times so that those timings will not appear on your calendar. So you wouldn't need to create, you wouldn't need to do a number of clicks to create a number of sessions. So it will work the other way around. So you can set the timings where you are available, and then people would just pick and choose the times when they can book. So Kevin is asking, is this a pro feature or it's on free plan? All the new features go in on pro. Exactly, like Chris says, all the new features go onto the pro and premium plans only. What else? Kathleen says her Calendly subscription is ending next month.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, so she's going to cancel just because you've got it all built in, and that's what we wanted, isn't it, Rakesh? That is what we were aiming at, to just replace Calendly. So it's on the right track for sure, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. At the moment, there are some caveats that still need Calendly. So as I said, like for example, if you want to do Monday to Friday, if you want to set your working hours, and if you want someone to book you during those hours, you have to create as many sessions. That's a bit of a pain. So we're going to change it a bit like how Calendly and other scheduling tools do. Yeah, so that's what we are working on. And Jay is asking, what about the 40-minute Zoom limit? I think a lot of people have this confusion regarding Zenler Live, that they still have this 40-minute Zoom limit. 40-minute Zoom limit does not apply to Zenler Live, Zenler Zoom. It is only applicable for your personal Zoom.
Yeah, that's a really big point, and we say it all the time. Do you know what? It's one of those things, Rakesh. I think people don't believe it. They seem not to believe that they don't need a Zoom subscription to use all of the live features inside Zenler, but that is the case. You don't need anything. You just need to have Zenler. So that is a big question. It comes up all the time.
Yes, even in onboarding, after people are on the pro plan, when I'm like, and here's the Zoom that's included, and they're like, wait, what? We get Zoom included? What do you mean? Like,
Yes.
even then they're surprised. So it happens all the time. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So that was that. And Kathleen says, if I set up a schedule with multiple times and then share the direct link to someone to which meeting they are going next line in the schedule. Yeah. So they'll if you set up a schedule with multiple schedules, multiple times, they'll just be attending the next one that's coming up. Yeah, they can select it, but if it's a recurring, they just show what's coming up. Malik says, is there an option for permanent URL for meeting room where anyone can join instantly without binding to a time slot? I'm not entirely sure about that, but
It kind of has got, I mean, the direct link is a permanent URL. So if they don't attend the first one, but they go through to a second one, then that is a permanent URL. I don't think the URL changes. It just goes up when the next one comes up.
yeah,
That's worth looking at, but I think it's a permanent URL, so you could just jump straight in there.
yeah, I think Malik is probably referring to the Zoom where you always have like a one hard-coded URL that when you start, people join with the same link. Maybe that's what he's referring to. So Amit says, are we able to use a direct link for personalization emails for automation? I'm not entirely sure about that. So he's asking, can we use this on the? I don't think this invite link can be personalized. This invite link is just a link to the room. There is no personalization there, so I don't think that will work. Faith says, I've been needing this so much, can't wait to check out. Okay. Alison says, great start. I've been playing with this. I have 3 questions. Can the client reschedule? I couldn't see a way for them to do that. So currently there is no way to reschedule. So we are going to add functionality where we can switch from one schedule to another schedule, cancel one. Because not always people are able to make it to some session. So obviously, there are times when they need to change the schedule, booking timings.
Maybe for that one, Rakesh, if you build that into your automations and they send you an email, then you could remove them from that particular live. That would be a way that you could do it temporarily. And that would work. You get an email back, you just remove them, and then they could book another session or something.
Yeah, they probably from the people profile, remove from just like course unenroll and enroll, remove from one session and add to another session or something like that.
Yeah.
If you just use an invite link and have a number of single schedule session, do they just jump in a Zoom room? When they try, it doesn't look like each session has an independent link. I think we already discussed that. Can I register a new client and enter in password for them? And just letting them know the password without a bunch of registration emails going on to them.
Yeah, you could just manually set them up, and then using the bulk actions, or you can just add them to that live feature yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Alison is also referring to the Outlook calendar, not just Google. Yeah, so first cut, we're going to look at Google Calendar integration. Obviously, there are a number of calendars. We cannot integrate with the whole world, but first Google Calendar, 100%. Outlook is something that we can probably look based on how many people need that feature. Sylvia says, can I set up a permanent link? Again, we discussed that. Can I restrict admission to the virtual conference via Zoom waiting room? You can do that using the Zoom security tools, right, David?
Yeah. You can have the waiting room and just not allow someone in if you don't want them to go in there.
Yeah, exactly.
All done in Zoom. A lot of this stuff is, you can do a lot of stuff actually in Zoom itself. So understand Zoom. Zenler is the basis of it, and it sends it out, but you can use all the features inside Zoom to block people from doing certain things. Just look under security.
Yes. Sylvia also says she still need to use a booking system like Calendly because it automatically integrates with the calendar. So I don't have to create sessions manually. Yeah, this is what we are working on right now. So we are integrating, we are adding Google Calendar Sync. So once you do that, your information will flow both ways. First, exciting first pass. And Molly says, I have regular clients that I see weekly and currently. How is this different? People don't book with me. Yeah, so the one-to-one is specifically for when if you want one-to-one bookings. So and then as I mentioned earlier, we're going to add functionality where you can set your working hours and people can book time with you. So it's being refined as well.
It keeps it nice and separate as well, doesn't it? Because we have, because I know people have before one-to-one bookings came along, people were using like the interactive webinar to do exactly the same. They're just having one person maximum enrollment limit, and it works exactly the same.
Yeah.
But now we have this ability to split it off, so you can keep a different set of templates and things in the one-to-one bookings that's separate from the interactive webinars that's meant for more people. Plus, inside the calendar itself, it actually says one-to-one booking, so people know exactly what it is. And that is a big difference as well. So it helps you maintain and organize your site a bit better. Plus, later on for expansions of things like calendar integration, stuff like that, because it's on its own, it can be managed on its own, and it's not part of the interactive webinar. So from an infrastructure point of view, it was really important to have that in place.
Yeah, and also as Vanessa is asking, currently for live classes, even for one-to-ones, someone needs to log into the system to be able to book onto a slot. So we are removing that. So with one-to-ones, unlike live classes, just like a free course, all they need is just to add the email address, and that's it. They can book a spot. So we are changing that as well. And what else? Gina says, any possibility of integrating with Google Calendar? We already discussed that. Yeah, just like currently, have a set available schedule, and then unless something on the integrated calendar conflicts during that part of time. This is exactly what we see, what we do. We put a first version out there. We see what is a pattern, what people want, what are the major patterns of what people want, and then we work around it. So your next iteration, we'll see all of that. Integration with Google Calendar, ability to set available schedules, and so on. Mike says, understand not needing Calendly because, however, if you don't need Zoom, where does the video call happen? Yeah, I think we still need Zoom, but that will be new Zenler Zoom, not your private Zoom. So that's that. And yeah, I think Mike has recommended what he currently does. So currently he uses WordPress to sell one-to-one bookings, and then the customer gets redirected to the Calendly-like tool, and the tool lets him set the availability hours. Let's say 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. is available, and then connects to his Google Calendar, and then after choosing the time, the booking goes to the calendar and so on. Okay, this is exactly how we will be trading. So we'll be adding all of this functionality into the one-to-one bookings, so that you don't have to do a whole lot of clicks to create a number of sessions. That's it. And let's see anything else. Athena says, I would need the functionality of Calendly. However, for this to work for me, as I mentioned earlier, we will be adding more functionality, including time slots, availability times, holiday blocking, and so on. Yeah, so I think, yeah, so once we do all of that, there shouldn't be any dependency on tools like Calendly, because we would have brought all of that functionality into the platform. Just Ganal says, just double check at this point, there is no sync to calendar. Yeah, again, I think we already covered that. Google Calendar integration is coming up. I think we pretty much covered all the questions, David. I think
Yeah, I think so. It's the main one here is like this. I mean, like we said at the beginning here. When we bring out new features, it is the first integration of it. It's the first interaction of it, and so that is how we start. So we bring the feature out, then we get a ton of feedback on it because you guys are using it, testing it out, and then we're just moving forwards and adding those things on. So your feedback on all these features that we're bringing out is crucial for us because we can spot where we need to add things in or change things rather than bring out something and say, there you go, that's it, that's all you're having. That's what we've done for you. And then you're like, but I want this, I want that, I want this. And it's like, too late. We finished. We're moving on. We're doing this. That's what happened in most platforms. You'll have what you've got. That's it. You're stuck with it. Whereas we try and just cater it so it's working for you. If it's the right move, if enough people are saying yes, if we look at it and go, well, that's logical, then Zenler will go ahead and get the development team. Rakesh will tell them to work on that side of it. So it's exciting. I can't wait. I mean, it's the first iteration of it. And then we're going to have, like, to recap, Rakesh, we're going to have it so that it connects up with Google Calendar, because that was like one of the main questions that was asked.
Yeah. So first thing, it's going to allow free bookings without needing to log in. So that's the first change. Second thing is Google Calendar integration, so that whatever bookings you have on a Zenler calendar will go on to Google Calendar. And if there is a booking on a Google Calendar, that may not be in first page, but if there is a booking on a Google Calendar, that particular slot will not be available for people to book, so that there's no conflict, there's no double booking and so on. And then the next one will be, because it's one-to-one bookings, you will be able to set your working hours. Let's say time 1 to time 2, Monday to Friday, and you can block your holiday time or times where you are not available, and then only those particular times will show up. So you don't need to create, like, currently you have to create, like, if you're available throughout the day, you have to create 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You have to add 6 or 7 or 8 sessions per day. So with that, you just set up your schedule, and your meetings automatically get displayed on those schedules on the calendar.
So can I ask another question about the calendar? Is it going to be possible to have the calendar so that it only shows a particular type? Like at the moment, the calendar will show any lives we've got on, but is it possible to have, if you're just setting up like one-to-one booking, but you've got interactive webinars, there's a lot of users that just want to show the one-to-one bookings, but they don't want to make the interactive side of things private. So is it going to be possible to be able to just show one? I know we can do it at the moment, we can make things secret, but actually have a different kind of calendar, maybe for just the bookings?
Yeah, I think we are still debating on that. So we are still looking at something called like a visibility setting. So where you can say where exactly this is going to be shown. So yeah, we still haven't finalized it. So once we have a decision on how exactly we want to go about it, we will do that. Yeah, so that visibility kind of setting that you are referring to is definitely on the horizon.
Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. That's good, isn't it, Alice?
It's very good. Very exciting. Very exciting. Can't wait. The Google Calendar integration will be a big deal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Rakesh, for coming on and showing us all that, and a new feature as well. This is great.
I know. This is a very exciting day with Zenler.
I know. Complete surprise. So we're going to move on now with the summit day. So we've got the slideshow now. So we're going to move on with that, and yeah, we're nearly done. So bit of an announcement there by Rakesh. Absolutely amazing. So really nice to have Rakesh in as well.
Yes.
With us. He's very, very busy, so we're lucky to have him with us. And we didn't know about that, did we, Alice?
No, we didn't.
Secret. That's just
Yes.
that's not right, is it?
Very cheeky of him. Yes.
No idea. And he's launched it. It's live. I checked just to make sure. So we're getting back on track now with the summit. It was just too much excitement for one day. So we're going to move back on with the actual summit day. So we're moving now towards the end of the day with Zenler, and we've shown you a lot about how we've put the whole thing together, and Alice has planned everything, working with the team to do that. So we're moving on to the day of the summit, Alice.
Yes, the
So
day
let's
of the
move.
summit.
This is it, day of the summit. So what happened?
Woohoo!
So here we go. So there we go, Alice. You're up.
Yep.
You're up.
So the day before the summit, yeah, we were pretty relaxed because everything was already prepared. So one of the questions that we kind of talked about a little bit was, you know, being prepared, things can go wrong, and having backup plans of backup plans. And because we did that, because we were prepared, it was a much more relaxing day than running around trying to confirm things, make sure this works. Oh, wait, where's this link? What's going on? Those hectic things. We get those messages sometimes in the Facebook group, don't we, David, where people are like, oh, I'm doing live and this link doesn't work, or this doesn't work. And if you've done the work ahead of time, then the day of the summit could be a much more relaxing experience for you. Now, I will say that it's also a more relaxing experience when you have a team, or if you have someone helping you produce a summit, especially if it's like a big day summit or a 3-day summit or something like that. If you're running something smaller for yourself, then maybe that's something you can do on your own without a full team. But for the Zenler Summit, all day and live, you have to remember, it wasn't just that we did a 12-hour summit, because we could have dripped content, you know, like David showed you in the course, for a 1-day summit that was pre-recorded, and it wouldn't have required as much management on the day of, right? Like it would not have required that. But our summit was live, so it really did require a lot of moving pieces, and also everyone sort of knowing, you know, what their roles were and who was doing what. Like we needed that to be relaxed, and that we trusted our team, right? Because we are a team. So, and we were able to trust each other, that we each knew what our role was and that we were doing that thing. And it really, I thought it worked fantastic. Like I was like, this is good. Like, and it was our first live summit, and it went very smoothly. Like, and the Zenler system really supported us in that, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've got it. You've got to realize here that, you know, Alice has run summits and these things before, but she uses lots of different stuff to do things. So it was quite interesting because you're going to encounter some hurdles, but that's with any system you're using. There's going to be things that, oh, you know, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. So for us, it was really interesting seeing how the thing could all fit together. We knew that anything's possible using the Zenler platform, but to actually base test it and to try it all out and take it through all of the stages with multiple team members and speakers is no easy feat for many platforms, you know, many just summit platforms themselves, you know, to coordinate all those things still requires all that coordination. And that is the key thing. It's like when we actually come into using Zenler, it was actually, do you know what, that's easy. We just needed to make sure we had everything planned, which Alice did. You know, and Mammy and Liz, they had it all in hand. They knew their jobs, their responsibilities, and then they took them on and did it. And they just run them straight into all of the Zoom sessions that were being streamed by Zenler. So from that point of view, it worked so well, you know. So that was what we were aiming at, just to make sure. I don't know if it's changed. I mean, Alice, now you've run it using Zenler, and now we've been through multiple different scenarios of how you could run things in Zenler. Would it make you change the way that you do things going forwards?
There are probably a few adjustments that I would make. I actually did. We weren't, as David mentioned earlier, we weren't really sure up until almost the last minute of how we were going to run it. Were we using live classes, live webinars? Were we going to do individual sessions for each of the streams? Were we doing large, longer sessions and having people come in and out. And I wasn't really sure how it was going to work, but because traditionally in a summit experience, it's individual video, like it goes from one to the next, from one to the next, traditionally speaking. Although I liked the way the 4-hour block worked. I thought that it was great. I liked the fact that we had the breakout rooms and the fact that Manmeet and Liz could take the next speaker in there. They were still there ahead of time, early. They went into the breakout room. They made sure they were prepared. Like, I felt like all of that stuff went really well. As far as like the basic running of the summit. There's a few things we would change. I thought the speaker presentations were great, but I think I kind of like an interview style more. I feel like a more interactive style summit might feel a little bit more engaging, when two people are having a conversation. But, I already like that, David, like when we run challenges together and it's the two of us and we're able to talk back and forth like we are today on A Day with Zenler. It feels more engaging. I just feel like it has maybe a better vibe, a more personal vibe than just somebody on screen giving a presentation.
Yeah, I think I agree. I liked it. I think it's like I know we're going to do a synopsis at the end, so we're kind of covering a bit now, which is it's fine. But no, I actually agree, and I think what would be nice next time, because this is not going to be the only one we run. We're going to be but every time we do one, we're going to be trying different things out. So we did have it as a live class. We could have made all our participants active within it. But it can get a little bit crazy, if you're opening up videos and audio and
you never know what you're going to see or hear. Okay.
Exactly. But maybe more of an interaction might be quite nice. Or we might say, right, okay, let's just do a true webinar. Let's just use the webinar feature and show you how that could be used in there, and doing more of an interview style. I quite like a mix of both. I think it depends on the speaker. So I think if you've got a speaker that's really quite engaging and rolls through things, I think it's really nice just to let them do their thing because it's elegant, But then other people you might have in that are a little bit more just like that interview style. I like that interview style. I can get on, I can do things, I can show you tutorials, but I'm much more at home in this environment, like with me and Alice, or if Kevin's on or Mammy. I much prefer that bouncing back and forwards. That to me is where I live normally. But when I come out and I'm doing these tutorials and I'm showing you things, it's like, you go here, you go here. So then I'm active and doing that. But actually just to be on my own talking, I find that quite hard. Sometimes it's something I've got better at, but it's I can end up rambling and my mind takes off in different you could be anywhere.
Exactly.
Back to Socrates, you see.
Yeah. Exactly. Everything comes full circle, David. Everything comes full circle.
It does.
Yeah.
It
And
does.
how you set up your summit, like there isn't any, and we say this a lot, there's no one right way to do a thing, right? Everybody has a different experience. Everybody has different processes and things that kind of make sense to them. And it's also about your business and about your brand and the type of summit or conference that you're running, because you can have this sort of mixed use summit where maybe you have key speakers, like you have the keynote speaker, and they're the ones that give their base presentation. And then maybe your follow-up speakers are the ones that you're doing the interview with. And then you can also have panel discussions with your speakers as well. So there are so many different styles that you can incorporate even into one event. Based on the needs of your audience, what kind of business you have, and what makes sense for you. Sometimes managing a lot of different types of things might be too much for you in the beginning, so you might want to stick with one thing. But the options really are endless when it comes to how you can show up and do your summit. Some summits that I've run do like workshops within the summit, right? When it's an all-day event. And they have breakout rooms, right? So you can do breakout rooms, and you can have different moderators in each room helping people do the workshop work. And then you come back together and you have a presenter that's kind of going over things about what you did in the breakout rooms. So there are so many things that you can do. And all of that is possible inside of Zenler. With Zoom, with that feature, you can do those breakout rooms. You can have panel discussions. You can have individual speakers doing presentations. You could do the interview. So there's all of those options are available to you inside of Zenler, and using that Zoom feature. You can do all of that.
Yeah, perfectly put.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we'll move on. Next slide. Here we go. What we did to be pre-prepared. I think we covered a lot of this already. We're showing you all of the, we told you about all of the preparation work that we did. But I think it's definitely worth returning to this because it is such an important part, the preparation. You notice we're repeating some of the same things. Why are we doing this? We're doing it so it really sinks in. Planning, central resource center. These are things that we keep saying in this. If you've watched this day, we keep saying these things. Why do we keep saying it? Because it is so important, and it means that you are pre-prepared.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that we did to be prepared is that we haven't really talked about yet are our backup plans, and that we had them, but what exactly were our backup plans? Because we're a team, because it was live, right? Things happen in people's lives, right? They get sick, their kid gets sick. I live in Florida, USA, and it was hurricane season during our summit. So I'm still in hurricane season right now. So because we were planning months in advance, I'm like, okay, we need to have a plan if I have a hurricane during our summit, right? So I know that these are things, right? I had to have that in my head. Also, there could be storms or power outages that people are going through, your speakers, you running the summit. So you have to kind of be prepared for what that looks like. If I was having that issue, I was prepared to be like, okay, kids are home. I'm headed north into Georgia or Tennessee to get in a hotel room with good internet and be on the summit. That's the level I was at for the summit. If that was my personal backup plan, if that was a problem. But for the speakers, because we had the Zenler team, each of us was prepared to give a 30-minute talk for the summit live on the fly in any given session, right? We had the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, because that's how we broke it up to make it simple, and to be able to break up the speakers by that section, but also to break up the team by that section. So Manmeet handled the morning session. She was on call for that. I was doing the evening session. I think Liz was in the afternoon. So if any of those speakers missed a spot, we were prepared to jump in and do the talk instead. And we had content prepared that we could do that. So that was part of our backup plan for that. If you have a pre-recorded summit, part of your backup plan and being prepared could be that you have extra pre-recorded content in case you get a speaker's recording and it doesn't work, in case they couldn't show up for their interview, in case there was a family emergency. Things happen, right? Dog ate my homework is not a good reason to not show up for a summit or for something that you've booked in. But life happens to people, and things happen. Now, we were very lucky. We had one speaker drop out of the summit 2 weeks ahead of time. So we had plenty of time to prepare for that. But none of the other 12 speakers had any issues showing up to the event on time, being there. And part of that is because we really worked with them, right? Like David said, speaker resource center, right? Having that central location, having the speaker sessions, having the WhatsApp communication, having the email communication, all of those pieces together really nurtured and took care of our speakers, and everybody showed up, and they showed up on time, and it was a fairly good process. But we were prepared in case something didn't, which helped us to be able to enjoy the day more.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about this, and we talked about this, this is all part of the planning as well, is having these backup plans. Well, one was we always made sure there was another co-host on there, but we backed up and we backed up. There's always, you know, how far do you go with the backups? We normally do at least 2 levels of backup behind, because I was always there throughout the whole day. You didn't see me the whole day, but I was there the whole day. So if something did happen, I could jump on as well, because it's, you know, this is the way that it works. When one thing goes wrong, normally another thing goes wrong. So you always cover yourself like on a 3rd level. It's a handy thing. Sometimes if you're doing it on your own, of course, but you make it clear. If you're doing stuff on your own, you make it clear that if anything happens, stay where you are and I'll pop back on. You let people know, and then it's fine. You don't leave people. So if you are on your own, just tell people that things can go wrong. You know, internet power cuts, it can easily happen. Stay where you are, stay in the room. I'll be back as soon as I get my computer turned on or technical issues solved. We didn't have to face that because we knew that if Alice dropped out, Liz, Mamie could drop in. If they dropped out as well, I could drop in and hold the fort until Alice came back. And then Mamie, Liz came back. So we had that covered on that front. The other thing is about the recorded content, because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, right, okay, well, everybody showed up. So that was a waste of time doing that recorded content. No, because we reuse it. So we can reuse that recorded content. We did a big slide deck of all the features of lives that we were going to show. That was my thing. That's what I was going to do. So because I couldn't do that, I just did a Zen pop-up afterwards. I just did a thing on that, and there you go. That's good. Didn't have to. So I'm not wasting any time, not wasting any of Zenler's money by recording something and doing something that I'm not actually going to use. We use all the stuff that we were recording. So again, that was a backup for that. We've already talked about the overflow. So we were backing up the stream event going through as well. So we backed up on that front as well. So there was backups on backups on backups. I don't know how many we got up to, but there was a lot, wasn't there?
Yes, there was a lot. There was a lot of backups. And you know what? I used to work for like FEMA, Emergency Management Agency, PEMA, so Providence Emergency Management Agency. And the motto for PEMA was preparedness is the best response, right? So the best response is to be prepared to respond, right? Because if you're not prepared to respond, instead what you're doing is you're reacting. And when you're in reaction mode, more like David said, once one thing goes wrong, then another, reaction mode can put you into a spiral. But if you're prepared and responding to things, then that adds to a smoother process for you and for your speakers and for your attendees.
Yeah, I think that's the same motto for the scouts as well, isn't it?
Is it being prepared is the best response?
Something like that.
Yeah. So is it? Okay. A scout is always prepared.
I was never in the sea. I was in the Sea Scouts, not Scouts.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Yes.
So that was our preparation work, which worked for us, didn't it? So we'll move on. Next slide. Let's get the next slide up. Bang.
Oh. Yeah. So, and we touched on this a little bit, the itinerary of the summit, and the role division, what everybody was doing. And that's a key piece, is that communication with your team, having the communication. So we've been talking a lot about communicating with the speakers over and over again, having the resource center, having the emails, having the trainings, having the templates, having the speaker sessions, following up through WhatsApp, all of those different ways that we are communicating with speakers. But as a team, we also needed that communication with each other. So it was a matter of, we have, as a team, we always have weekly team meetings. And in those team meetings, we could go over some of the bits and pieces that we needed to go over and find out who could cover what role, who was available when. And then we are following up with each other via messaging through our team chat of who's taking on what role. So the itinerary for the day is something that we planned out in advance. David was all set up to in advance. We tested it out together several times outside of the team stuff to make sure we could set up the extra stream if we had overflow stream, because we wanted to make sure that everybody who wanted to watch could watch and see what was happening live if that was what they wanted to do. So David was set up and prepared for that all day long. Whether we needed it or not, he was there and he had all the tech at the ready and he was prepared to do that. And even though he didn't need to do that, he was also prepared if all those other fail safes like me, Liz, Manmeet for presenting, if that stuff fell through for whatever reason, he was prepared to come on and do something for that as well, right? So David knew what his role was and he knew when his role would need to be activated, in what situation would he need to be activated. And I knew completely that I could trust David to, as we talked about before, just take it on. Just take control. Oh, I couldn't trust you. You know, kind of like when Angela just went with it when David dropped out of the thing, right? You know, David knew if I dropped out, if Liz dropped out, if Manmeet dropped out, okay, now it's me, right? So he knew what the circumstances would be, and he knew what his role would be when that happened. And the same thing with Manmeet and Liz, right? So their roles were to, as I was wrapping up with a speaker, doing the Q&A at the end, we had somebody assigned to monitor the chat for questions. We had someone assigned to introduce the speakers for each of those sessions. We had someone assigned to do a backup talk if any of those speakers dropped out, right? So everyone had their role, and we made sure that we broke those roles up into those morning, afternoon, and evening sessions. So not only was the morning, afternoon, and evening sessions really great for you as an attendee, right? Because you're like, okay, morning session, these are the speakers, these are the talk. Afternoon sessions, here's, right? That schedule, that itinerary made it easy for us to break up the roles and responsibilities, right? So Manmeet knew her people were in the morning. She had to know who those speakers were. She had to know how to pronounce their names. She had to be prepared to ask them questions for the Q&A portion at the end, be prepared to watch the chat for that. And if something happened to Manmeet, then Liz knew that that would then be her responsibility to check in and do that, right? And so there was this chain of command. There was this hierarchy of, okay, you do it here. If something happens to you, then you move into place. If something happens to you, then you move into place, right? There was always someone else to move in from the team, but we all knew what our roles were. So we were better able to execute because it was also on a schedule. So we knew when, we knew where, we knew how, and all of that happened through that team communication and that planning, which is really key for that.
Yeah, so putting your ducks all in place, you know exactly where they are. That's the thing. You can't go into these things unprepared.
Willy-nilly.
Oh, it'll just be a disaster. It might be funny.
Right. You could have some really good outtakes.
You could.
Yeah.
You could. Sounds like one of my sessions, to be honest.
No. Sometimes
there's
always a blooper, something somewhere, right?
There's got to be bloopers. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you do it. So we covered a lot of stuff today. And have you got anything else to say on this, Alice, or should we move on to the last part, which is the synopsis?
Yeah, let's just go with it, David.
We are going to the last slide then. So I'm going to just send a little message out to the world, to the team members. If they want to join us, they can. But we are moving into the synopsis of the event. So this is like an evaluation. It's always a good idea to do this, to evaluate anything. This is what I do anyway. If I've had an event or something, I try and look at the feedback I'm getting from people. We do this in team as well. We have team meetings, weekly team meetings, where we do discuss a lot of things to do with anything that we are doing. So we do have any questions, but I've seen there's nobody messaging anything in the Facebook group. So you can put your questions down. I guess a lot of people are going to be watching this on the replay. So if you want to ask a question, just make sure that you tag Alice, me, Mammy, Liz into it, and we can come back to you with any answers if you're watching this on the replay. So this takes us to the last slide, which is team discussions on the event. how could we do it next time? So I'm going to put the little alert out to team members. So if anyone wants to jump in, they can. So we're sort of like just looking at what we did, like, what went well, what we think we could be done better. I think we've already mentioned throughout the whole day of little tweaks and things. That's why I asked Alice a little bit earlier, like, well, how would she use Zenler? How would she use it? And you were saying about the interview style, which would be a nice one to do in the next summit that we do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I do like interview style because I like to chat and I like to banter. And I feel like that's a fun and engaging way to present content, to share your expertise with people in a way that's a little bit more natural feeling than here's a presentation, even if you are as fun and engaging as Howard was during his presentation, as entertaining as he was, it's still, yes, it's still a presentation. And so I really like the banter, but that's another piece to knowing who your audience is when you're putting together a summit for them. Are your audience people who just want a presentation? Are your audience people that would really engage with and like to see two people having a conversation and bantering? I always like the two people because I feel like I'm privy to something that maybe I wouldn't normally be, right? Because you're listening in on two people having a conversation.
Yeah, almost
and
like
I
a
like
private,
that.
like a private kind of conversation.
Yeah.
That's really nice as well. I think that's really good. I like that. I like that approach. And in fact, like a little bit of a heads up here, Howard is very much wants people to be on screen, but we were like, well, do we do that? Do we? Because if we start letting people on screen, and we've got no control over them, we've got no control over their backdrops, we've got no control over what they say. So we reined it in and said, no, we're not going to do that for this particular one. We do that in all our challenges. It's all private, but this was a real open summit. So we have to be really careful with these things. But on the flip side of it, Howard loves people to interact with. He likes to see what they're doing, that they're using the techniques and actually doing things. It's actually quite good because he's been in some of the workshops, and he has people and they're all on camera and they all get up and start practicing the voice warming up exercises. Actually, it's hilarious. Everyone has a load of fun, and that's what he loves about it. That's what he does. He doesn't particularly he can do it on his own, no problem. He hasn't got a problem with charisma and bringing people in through storytelling and doing all these things. He does that naturally, but he prefers people coming in and interacting with them. So we had to make a decision. It was like, do we allow this? Do we not allow it? And it was mixed, wasn't it? We didn't know. We were like, well, it would be good, but then we can't get the control. So it was kind of like, so we just decided not to. So that is a
we
classic
split the
case.
difference. We split the difference because we had it in the chat, right? And instead of making the speaker also monitor the chat, we had a team member monitor the chat, and we let the speakers know, hey, we've got your back. We're going to monitor the chat. We'll let you know if there's any important questions or feedback or things, and that's totally fine. And so we kind of did it that way because we knew how we wanted to run it. We were prepared to do that and monitor that chat. So, and I liked that. I like that if you have a moderator to chat and engage with people in the chat, you can keep it engaging while the speaker is giving their talk. So I liked that. It was okay.
Yeah, I think that worked really well. And it's like there were times where I would watch it. So I would put if it wasn't many people actually asking questions, I would make sure I was getting questions in there. So, but the lots of times that the team members will write questions, we'll put them in there. The only reason it's not that we don't know it, because we will know some of those things, but we are putting out there questions that are commonly asked, so that other people can get it. So we'll put questions on there. I remember once Kevin, I put a question to Kevin while he was running something. It was something I knew I know inside out, and he was like, David, he was telling me how to do it. Hello, it's like I've just put that question to help everybody else.
Right. Yes.
So that's what we did. We kind of did that. So we were maintaining the chat, and that took a lot of pressure off people as well, didn't it, Alice? because people were
Yes.
writing those we were monitoring that and helping that side of things and passing the questions over, which meant that they didn't have to keep looking through all of the chat that was going on. So that's another really important aspect, and that worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think no matter what kind of summit that you're running, or how busy it is or how small it is, having a moderator, having someone monitor the chat, it's just less things to do, right? If you're a speaker and you're speaking and you've got to check the chat and you've got to manage your slides or you're this or you're that, that's a lot of stuff going on. And that can slow down the presentation. It can interrupt sort of the flow and the interaction within that particular talk. And so having that extra person there as support for that really just keeps it flowing and moving along in a nice rhythm, which I think is always a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what would we do differently if we were running another one then, Alice? I mean, we've already talked about like maybe doing some interview styles. The way I don't think in a way, because I loved the 4 hour session, because it's I know they don't run summits run for the whole day and they don't stop in between, but I almost feel it's nice to have that break. It's like I like a day with Zenler, we have 3 hours. So we can have a bit of lunch, you know, and then you can come back to it fresh. So I like that kind of split. Would it be better to have it run throughout the whole day? Well, we're working in the limitations of what we can do in Zenler, and there isn't many limitations. That's probably the only one that there is, really, isn't it? That 4 hour session rather than run it right the way through. But it works seamlessly. So what would we change? Will we change anything? I think with that setup, I think it's pretty much that's how it is. It's perfect how it was.
Yeah, I think it ran really well, but some other things we could try, which we can talk about, doing instead of doing an all day summit, because one of the things that you want to think about is also the experience of the people attending. And so it was a really long day for a lot of people besides just the team. It was quite exhausting. I mean, we were on camera live for 12 hours straight. Like it was a marathon live, and that's quite exhausting. Now, we were willing to do that because we could take breaks and each other cover things. So we kind of had time for that. But when it comes to the attendees, they may want to see all of the things and not have a whole day to do it. Yeah, there's replay, but there's nothing like having a live summit and engaging with people. So one of the things we could do is break the summit up over 3 days and do like that 4 hour session, one each day, so that it is available for everybody maybe to participate live. And it's less taxing on having an entire day where you're watching all this stuff happen. So that's like an idea of something we could do. And it could be more, you know, could be longer than just the 4 hours. It could be 4 hours and then, you know, followed up with an after lunch or after dinner session. That's more of a workshop session based on what they learned in the 4 hours. Or, you know, it could be a live Q&A that is interactive instead of just the on session. So yeah, I mean, there's so many options, and I kind of like the idea of maybe testing out some different formats and, you know, experimenting a little, like work fast and break things, right, David?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that could be a really good option as well. That you know, guys, we're talking about this stuff. Like, just write down in the Facebook group what you think, how you feel. Like, use us. You know, if you want us to try a different format, then let us know what you think, and then we'll try it for you. It saves you doing it, doesn't it? So yeah. I love that idea. I love the idea of like when someone's doing a presentation, they really don't want to be interrupted when they're doing a presentation because they've got set goals. They might be doing it quite loosely, like we are today, where we haven't got any bullet points, but we just got one line of text and we're building from that. There's been no other scripting other than that. That's how both me and Alice work. Most of the team work in that way from bullet points. So we take a bullet point and we move through it to the next bullet point and go on and on and on until it's finished. But that's still a flow. That's still from A to Z. That's where we're going to. So when you're doing any kind of presenting at all, the last thing you want to do is interrupt it by any questions. you know. So when you were doing these flows, we try and go through it, and then we say any questions at the end, and then we cover those questions. So maybe that format would be really good, Alice, where we've got like 4-hour session of X amount of people doing presentations, and then we open another sort of 2-hour one, like 1 or 2 hours later, that is purely answering the questions that have come in the chat and live people that come in there on what they're doing. That could be really good and really interactive. Remember,
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
trying to, I think what we're trying to do here is we're trying to do something that no other platform does. We're trying, even the way we're presenting things to you, we're trying to take it above. We're not just doing the normal presentation like we're doing now. You know, we're trying to take things a stage further and give you a bit of background knowledge. I mean, who would do like this whole day on what we did for a summit?
Right. It's a whole case study on what we did. And we're giving you that insider's look at it because we want you to be able to do a summit. We want you to do it successfully. And, you know, that's our thing. And we don't charge you for any of that either, right? This isn't an upsell that we're trying to give to you. This is us really being very keen to help you get the best use out of the system for yourself, for your business.
And we love to hear success stories where people are using the platform. We get a lot of them in the Facebook group, but actually summits, you don't get that many come through. So if you are, and you have run and you are using the Zenler system, and maybe you're using it differently to how we've been showing you how we do it today, then let us know what you're doing, you know, because it's like, or what you thought was missing. You know, because it's all valuable feedback. It's all part of the system we need to know to make these things better. A few things came up for me that I would have liked slightly differently. Like I would have liked to have you know, this is if I was having a wish list, you know, not that Zenler's going to just start producing what I'm talking about, but like I'd like the true webinar experience. I'd like to be able to put those into the live, into the courses, into the live classes. So not just have the live class interactive, but I'd like live webinar in there. I'd also, I would like to be able to stream directly from Zoom straight into a lesson rather than going around the houses. That would be something that would be a revolutionary game changer for me. These are all things I'm talking about, massive new features that could come into the platform. But, you know, if I'm talking about anything I wanted, that would be some of my top wish lists there. Don't know. How about you, Alice?
Yeah, I would. If you're dreaming, that live streaming directly into the lesson, that would be epic. Yeah, that would.
Or a page. So we could just, you know.
Yes, anywhere. And here's my live stream and it's embedded right there. Yeah, I love
site.
that.
That would be, and like no registration. They would just be buying through that. Automations would fire just through the course, not having to touch lives or set automations up. These are our wish lists, you know.
Yeah.
And
this
it'll
is
happen,
magical
I'm sure.
thinking.
We are. We're on cloud David and Alice at the moment.
Yes, exactly. Hey, you know what? You got to dream big, right?
Yeah. So I mean, as far as actually running it and the way it run, like we were talking about this, technically everything worked exactly as expected. So from that point of view, we can't really pick too many holes in how it was all presented and stuff, because it was all done immaculately. You didn't see like the breakout rooms and people going. There was a few little pop-up messages and things like that, just minor tweaky things that you think, oh, maybe we could do it differently next time. Maybe there could be some sort of a separate live where Mammy and Liz are taking people into a separate live, and then once they've approved them, send them into the live. Maybe that's something that could be done. That would make it even more, you know, you wouldn't see that side. It would be complete segregation from the two. So there's all these little tweaky bits, but they're very minor. If you're thinking about the whole thing running from start, the planning stage, which is the massive part, to actually setting it up and running it, that just went super smooth, didn't it? We didn't have anything.
It really did. It really did. And I, you know, again, the credit is to the planning. The credit goes to the system itself, and to everybody knowing what their roles and responsibilities were and really being able to execute on it, right? And that was the communication part was key for that. And yeah, and I feel like that's one of the places that a lot of people get stuck is in that communication, or they get stuck in, we wanted to run it. We could do so. There's so many other ways to run a summit inside Zenler. This way felt like the simplest, most direct route for a live summit. And so that's why we chose that route. It was the simplest, most direct route to it. There are a lot of other routes that you could take. But for our first summit, we wanted to show you how to do a summit where you don't have to be the super techie person to be able to actually run a summit on your own if you follow even just exactly the model we followed, because we made sure to do it in the most direct route, because there's a lot of other ones. You could have set up individual live sessions for each speaker. You could have done recorded ones where it was all set up to fire automatically inside of a funnel with timers going off. Like there are so many different ways that you can set up a summit inside of Zenler that those possibilities are truly endless. And we were doing it live. That was a key piece of it for us. So we did it in the most direct way possible. And I liked how it went. And I think that that's an easy way for a beginner to also run their first summit and have a successful process with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I had, I was helping Jackie Footman out with EFT. She set, I think she made a lot of money out of that for the EFT charity. And I was going through it with her. And at the time, we didn't have the live classes in the system. So she was actually doing it how we were thinking of doing it, using the, I think she didn't have the webinar either. I think it was just live interactive webinars available to her. And she used that and it was all successful. She raised a lot of money. And we were even looking at that approach. And then we thought, you know what? Well, let's just use it. We've got live classes. What if the great thing about live class, you just send them straight through the course. They're in there. The information's there. They've just got to find it. So make it really clear, and then they will find it. But we stuck to like the system as it is default. Now, I had itchy fingers, you know, because I do when I'm when I'm designing, when I've got it open. I'm kind of like, oh, I don't like the curriculum block. I really don't like it. But the team's like, no, we're going to leave the stuff default. I wanted to put nice big buttons in there going straight to the thing, just because that's what I like to do. You know,
David has a designer's eye and he likes things a certain way. And yes, which is magical about you, David. It really is, because we get a really good perspective from you on how to make things better. Like, honestly, we do. But yes, as David said, we wanted to set it up in the most default way, most direct way, so that you could see this is what the system actually looks like. And this is how you could do it as well. And you don't have to know how to do other things in the system yet. Not complicated to do though. Like, honestly, when we set up challenges, that's one of the things that David sets up. He gets rid of that curriculum block and puts in a button for each day so that you just click into the button for each day. You know, then the replays, then the curriculum block comes back for the replay access afterwards, because that's dynamic and it's easy to plop right back in there. But you have the default inside the player for the replays, but then you have those nice buttons and it's really looks good. So it's not difficult to do, but it's not the default look. So if someone were to come along and log into the course, we get questions like, oh, how did you set this up? This isn't a course. Where's the course player? Because some folks don't even realize you can delete the course player and add other things in there, right? So in order to reduce the amount of questions around how we set it up, we wanted it on that default look so you all could see that even on the default look, it could be a really great, smooth, wonderful event for everyone involved. And ours was, I think.
Yeah, well done, Alice. No, but that's the thing, you see. It's kind of like I get in there and I'm like fiddly. I just want to fiddle. So Alice is cracking me out. Just get out of there, David. It's ready, because we wanted to leave. That was another thing as well, because like again, you saw the summit, but what you didn't see was all the team discussions with like, no, we want to leave it as simple as possible. We want to leave it like the default. So I want to use the automations from the lives. We want to use a little bit of automations in the course when people enroll. If I'm doing it myself, I would do it completely differently. I tend to send all the automations out through the course, even for the lives. And I tend to put buttons in there, link buttons in there, going straight through. That's how I do it personally. But we have to think that we're running a challenge on this. So we're running a challenge. We need to make sure that everyone's going to be able to follow along. And we don't want to be wasting time in a challenge. Oh, you need to put pretty little buttons in there and then they click through. That's something that we can show you in a bonus section of the challenge, which we probably will. So I've mentioned the challenge again, because let's just end by saying what we're going to do, what we intend to do for everybody.
What we intend to do for everybody is offer you a challenge on how to run your own summit inside Zenler. So David and I are going to be doing that. Do we have a date yet, even, David?
Well, I'm hoping November is looking like it could happen.
Yeah.
Maybe mid-November. So we better get a move on. We can't be on a day with Zenler all day, can we?
No, we cannot. So, and it's going to be a really nice process for all of you that are looking forward to doing a summit in Zenler. And David's already even got some fancy bits for the bonus section. He's already got that set up, actually, and it's going to be amazing. And we're going to walk you through the process. Plus, in true Zenler fashion, David and I will be doing it together, and we'll be there for the Q&A to interact with you. You'll be on with us, and you'll be able to ask those questions to us and really figure out how the best way for you to run a summit for your business is, right? Because how you run it as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, is a little bit different than how we run it as an organization, right? We went through as much of the process as we could in running our own summit to give you that example, but there's a few key things that you as a solo entrepreneur might want to do differently than what we did, right? Like having ticket sales and stuff like that. So there's a few nuances there, but it'll be a lot of fun. David and I have a lot of fun. Anything can happen on a challenge with David and I.
Yeah, it gets pretty mad. So yeah, we do tend to give you a lot of value. So although we do plan things out, just like we did with a day with Zenler, we always throw in golden nuggets, because again, this is what happens when you work with someone else. You start bouncing off each other, and you start bringing out, oh, and I remember this is a little tip for you. And these kind of things happen naturally. This is why I love working with someone else. And Alice is great for that, because we can bounce off each other. If I need a rest, I know that Alice is competent and can take care of everything going on, and she doesn't let me do it because I'm not competent.
No, yes, you are.
I am an
No,
assistant.
we do see, yes. We work well together when it comes to that.
Yeah, so we're gonna be putting that together for you, and we do have a few, because originally we planned to do a challenge, because Alice runs a challenge. If someone tells me what they want, I can put it together for them, and I put together challenges and summits and things, so it's all pretty easy to put things together in the Zenler platform. So Alice already has experience of this, but it was really important, and we started a challenge, and we started working on it, and we did quite a lot of content for it. Most of that content we're going to replace with new content, but that's where the bonus comes in. We're going to leave that content so you can look at a different way of doing a summit from start to finish, with a lot of video content for you. So we're going to leave that in there as a bonus for you. We'll probably be doing a prize draw, won't we, Alice? That's what we generally do.
We always do. We will talk Rakesh into it. We'll force him into it, giving away lots of stuff for the challenges. We do every time. So if you're interested in some Zenler swag,
yeah, or something else completely different.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
could be.
We'll find something.
Always a surprise, right? Like, hey, Rakesh surprised us today with this new automatic cloud recording feature. Just out of the blue, just dropped it on us. Boom, right in the middle of a day with Zenler. Like, what?
And then expects us to still work. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
exactly. Like, I want to go play, and now I have to finish this. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, so we've got a super exciting challenge coming your way. It's going to be really good. We're going to base it on what we've done for the summit. So you're going to see exactly how we build it all up. It's like Alice was saying, it's really easy. Alice is going to go into, maybe Alice will give you some templates as well for things to follow and all these kind of things. Because most of it, to be honest with you, running this, most of it will be Alice. Actually, me showing you how to put the thing together is, like I've mentioned, is so easy inside Zenler. So the planning stage and all these things is what Alice is going to be doing. So really, in essence, this will be Alice 85% of the time, I should think, going through this. But I will be on with her to, well, just basically to annoy her. That's what I do.
Yeah. To make me laugh. Yeah.
You love it, don't you, really?
Yes, I do. I'm just glutton for punishment.
All right, so that is it. So I want to say a massive thank you to Alice in particular, because she's been up since 3 o'clock and this morning. Ridiculous time, absolutely ridiculous. She's been with us the whole day. It's now 5:45, so we did a bit of extra on the first session, so we're going to wrap it up now. I want to thank Liz for popping on in the morning because she was on there, Mammy for coming in and managing to get back for both sessions and you know, sharing some slides, and she really wanted to get on because she really wanted to share some information with you, so that was really nice of her. I want to absolutely thank Rakesh for telling us about that new feature as well. That's really good. And for being on. He's very busy sorting lots of things out, so it's good to have him on. But thank you so much, Alice. You've basically hosted this whole day, haven't you? So well done.
Yeah. You got it all set up. You definitely were a key role in it. And same thing with the summit. Like, you know, the planning, everybody was involved in that as well. And having those tech bits, as I like to say, teamwork makes the dream work.
And that's it. So
That's
is
it.
another day with Zenler. By the way, I just wanted to say to you, it was actually Alice's idea to do this, a whole day with Zenler. So another kudos for Alice. I think it's a really good one. So it's a little bit different, you know, and it's we have a bit of fun with it, because we like having fun, don't we? That's what life's about.
Gotta
All right,
enjoy it.
All right, so I'm going to say bye for now. And Alice, if you say bye for now.
Bye for now.
See you later, guys.